up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm Celtic Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
We are live. Welcome to episode 1 of Wrestling on the Rocks. That's right. Wrestling on the Rocks is where every show is our first show. Every episode is episode 1 because we don't get to episode 2 until we do episode 1 right. And we have never done this right. So we will continue on our journey and our venture down the slew of multi-year episode 1s. Guys, I am at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR, the show. With me today, from the Specifically Sporadically Devoid podcast video film, it's your boy, Derrick.
What's up, everyone? How's it going, everyone? I am so gosh dang excited to be here. This show seems like so much fun. I'm on the rocks. I'm ready to go.
You're on the rocks, though. I am. He's on the rocks. This guy's iced. What's cooler than being cool?
Ice
on the
cold.
rocks. Okay. Justin Time is already in the chat along with Jeremy Steven. Just Time saying it's going to be a specifically awesome episode 1. And Jeremy says the dive bar is open once again for another episode 1. That's right. We are the dive bar of the IWC. This is where you go to drink your worries away and yell at your friends about things that just don't really matter. And that's what makes it fun. That is what we're here for. Man, let's just start with something simple. Let's start easy. Did you want to, Micah, formerly known as Mika, would be absolutely devastated if you didn't put over the Devoid podcast. Did you want to go ahead and tell people a little bit about that real quick?
Absolutely. If anyone hasn't checked out our stuff already, we are the Devoid brand. We have a slew of different podcasts and shows that you might want to listen to. We have Specifically Devoid, which is just our regular podcast. It's just me and whoever's on that week chatting. Usually it's Micah. Sometimes it's not if he's bad. We got the Devoid Wrestling Podcast, which is the same deal, but with wrestling. We have a game show called Devoid Entertainment that runs. We're currently in our summer invitational. We have a new show that Micah is starting called In Kayfabe, where he and a guest takes a deep dive into the world of kayfabe. And we do a whole lot of other one-off things. We did like a trial for whether or not Sunny D was good. We've done just a slew of other sporadic things on top of everything we already do.
Sunny D is in fact so good that as soon as you said the word Sunny D, I tasted it in my throat.
Let's go. Sunny D is so good.
It's awesome.
There's so few times when I've come across someone who actually also likes Sunny D like I do.
Well, it was the non-waxy Tampico, right? Because Tampico is made with candle wax.
Wait, like full-on candle wax?
Have you ever tasted Tampico?
I mean, I have. I definitely have.
Take a drink of Tampico and then sit back for a second and realize that your throat is now wax-coated.
Next time I consciously purchase Tampico, which I don't think will ever happen, I will definitely consider it.
Tampico comes in 75-cent gallons. It's got to be good.
I mean, Sunny D's like, what, $1 gallons?
That's a good point. It's because it's high grade, man. High end. That's top shelf right there.
You're the 25 cents is for branding.
Yeah, it is. You're paying for a label there, kid.
Mike is already in the YouTube chat.
Mike is in the chat, formerly known as Mika.
Yep, Mika in the YouTube chat saying, I knew I didn't like you, and admitting he likes Sunny D confirmed it.
I knew it. I knew that. I could tell from when you first said that you went into the dive, I was like, Micah's got a stick up his ass about Sunny D, and he wanted to record a podcast about it. That's immediately what I thought. Let's start with something a little simple. You're already on the rocks. I'm going to tell you real quick what's in my glass, and I want to know what's in your glass. I'm having American Whiskey Tin Cup, which was really cool to find. It actually comes with a tin cup in a similar style to what they believe the miners used to carry around with them for them to drink their own whiskey in. So they actually used to drink from small cups like that.
That's actually the exact glass that The Undertaker and Maven took a shot out of before the Royal Rumble 2001, was it?
I believe that's true. believe that is true.
I
Derek,
am
what's in your
sipping
glass?
on a truly tropical punch in a souvenir cup from the aquarium that me and my partner went to on vacation this weekend.
Aquarium.
This
you're
is
probably a
the
little-
dawning of the age of
Oh yeah, I knew you were better than Micah from the get. I'm just
Everyone should.
Wow.
Everyone should.
Micah would have been like, I'm too young for that. I wouldn't know what that is. I'm a baby.
Which is funny because I'm like younger than Micah.
I know.
by like a couple years too.
We never would have crossed paths in school kind of years.
Yeah, he would have legitimately been like a junior when I went into freshman year of high school.
That's so good. So good. Justin Times in the chat saying, sorry to Micah, but I'm on Team Sunny D. Sunny days are upon us, and I grew up a big fan of Sunny.
And Sunny D. Both
Sunny
are
D.
great.
They're both
Sunny
delicious.
and Sunny D were both great.
Yeah. They're both pillars of my childhood and becoming a man.
Sunny D was the first step to manhood.
Yeah, it was 100%. Let's see. Well, let's talk about it real quick. On top, Flow State Coffee still hanging in as one of our sponsors because they're badass over there. The owner was trained by Lance Storm to become a professional wrestler, so he is an indie wrestler. So if you support coffee, if you support indie wrestling, you ought to be supporting Flow State Coffee. Flow State Coffee is specialty grade coffee with L-theanine and raw cacao for productivity and creativity, better energy, focus, and mood than a regular cup of coffee, while decreasing negative side effects like anxiety and blood pressure. So go to newwave.co, NOOWAVE.co, and put in your promo code CHEERS to get an additional 10% off any ongoing sales, or if there are none, then now you have one. So go there and check them out. Good stuff. I've been having it for a couple of days, and it's why I'm ahead of schedule on all my editing projects. I feel like. It's hard to say. Derek, have you been able to try any New Wave?
Try any, say that again?
The New Wave coffee?
I have not gotten a chance to try it, but I really want to.
All right, cool. It explains why you're slow. I'm just kidding.
Micah's in the chat asking, how can someone have both terrible wrestling and beverage takes?
I don't know, Micah. How can they?
Yeah. Micah, you're living it.
Back on you.
Yeah, he's been living it, and he's like going through an existential crisis right here. It's like I heard Huckabee's in our chat, you know? I do want to shout this out real quick. I have not played it yet as it is still in the cellophane, but I do want to shout out Ring Scoops. Ring Scoops came through and sent us a wrestling card game. It looks like if you go to www.ringscoops.com, you can potentially check it out and buy a deck of your own. We're going to be playing this on the show at some point, probably going to be like a bonus episode thing. It is a 3 to 8 player game, and let's see, on the back of it, it says, do you think you have what it takes to cut the greatest promo in professional wrestling history? Step through the ropes, pick a gimmick, and know your role. The Ring Skips wrestling card game is the ultimate pro wrestling fan party game. Draw cards at random, use your creativity, and cut a promo on your opponent while the audience cheers. The idea that it's a card game based around cutting a promo at your friends is already a drinking game waiting to happen. So I'm excited to play it. I'm excited about Ring Scoops coming through and giving that out. So I just wanted to shout them out and tell you guys to check them out.
Thank you, Ring Scoops.
Thank you, Ring Scoops.
That sounds like a ton of fun. Oh my gosh.
Dude, isn't that dope?
I want to play that with a ton of non-wrestling fans.
That's what I think. Yeah, 100%. I think I might need to, because I'm trying to think of how we could do it in different ways. And for a while, I was like, maybe we remote people in. But then we got like a bunch of decks that someone's having to moderate and tell people, trust me, this is your cards. You know what I mean?
I think we just got to go to Matt Brown's.
I think we got to go to Matt Brown's, or we're going to have to go to Kevlar's, because Kevlar could have a few people over. He knows more people than we know. Let's be honest. And then I can have a cigar while I have it too. So we'll see. Yeah, we're going to figure it out. We'll set up a little camera and we'll put up a little highlight reel or something. So, Derek, was there anything you wanted to shout out?
Anything specific, like wrestling related, or just in general? Shout out.
I don't know. In general.
I would like to shout out. I've heard him in the chat a couple times. I would love shouting out Justin Time. Justin is always at like all of my things. He watches me on Twitch when I stream. He watches my YouTube videos. He just subscribed to me. You are a true fan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your support.
Just in time 211 on Twitter, the Don of the IWC. He's the curator of our side of the IWC. That dude's got his eyes out, his ears down to the streets, and he tells anyone of like-hearted nature that they're missing out if they're not part of this crew. And so he is the Don. He's the godfather, as it were. I say like-hearted and not like-minded on purpose, because we definitely all disagree on a lot of things. But if he can tell that we're all going to drink and yell and throw rocks, but at the end of the day get back up to do it all again, then that's one thing. But you know, a lot of the internet nowadays is a lot more harsh and definitive than that. So
Yeah. No kidding.
Producer, was there anything before we get into some of the news? I'm just stoked to have D-Rec in here. So let's do it. In the news. All right, well, let's start off with a little drink to the fallen. Super Porky passed away. Are you familiar with Super Porky?
I'm not super familiar.
I'm not going to lie, I'm only partially familiar. We talked about him a while back. It was somebody that Clump had talked about. I know Clump really likes him, so I know he's going to be going through it a little bit on this one. But he'd mentioned the Super Porky gimmick, and we looked it up on the air, and we were playing stuff of it, and it was so entertaining, man. So cool. But he was pretty big out in Mexico and stuff, and he did a bunch of stuff in America, especially down in the Southwest. But just a shame. Just always sad to hear when someone passes. So tears in our beers to Super Porky. We'll see you down the road. And we'll give out the birthday shout-outs, too. We missed last week HBK, so we wanted to circle back on that one, because also today's is Triple H's. And I believe yesterday's or the day before was Finn Balor. So Triple H, HBK, and Finn Balor, happy birthday. I mean, that's a fucking New Wave Bullet Club right there. I mean, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, what a crew.
There's I'm pretty sure it's also Hangman Page and Dolph Ziggler's birthday today as well.
That's true. I did see that. So happy birthday to Hangman Page and Dolph Ziggler. Although if we cheers Dolph Ziggler, doesn't he block us because he's a heel?
I'm already blocked by Ryback.
By which one?
I'm already blocked by Ryback.
By Ryback? Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
A good one. No, just kidding. If you say nice things about Ziggler, sometimes he responds with blocked.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, let's talk a little bit of news, dude. You ready to talk about news?
Oh yeah, there's one thing I'm really excited about. So you know how there's the whole NWA Empower event that they're planning and stuff?
Yes. August 20...
Well, they recently announced that Gail Kim is going to be a part of that, which is super exciting.
She's Impact.
Yeah.
Do we know what part? Like, is she going to be wrestling, or is she going to be playing like a producer type thing, or backstage? Because I know Mickey hasn't. I don't know if Mickey's even said if she's going to be in the match. We just know that she's like more or less directing the thing.
Right. I think from what it sounded like, it was a promo posted online after Impact. It sounded like Gail Kim was probably going to be wrestling a match.
See, by the pictures that I saw, I was kind of thinking maybe she was going to be managing Mickey. Was just my guess.
Oh, interesting.
That would be
but
good.
I also didn't see this promo.
Because then she'd be involved, but not in the ring. Because I know that there was she's retired, I think, officially twice. So I think that I really felt like this last retirement was going to stick. But I mean, this Empower event seems to be like it's going to be a pretty big deal. Just on the face of it. So maybe she would want to get in the ring one more time to do it. Or maybe you do things where you put someone like a Gail Kim ringside or on a poster alongside of a Mickie James, and you highlight a lot of the young women talent coming up instead of the already established women talent. You use the established to bring in people and do a little spot, maybe have them, get a pie in the face or something. I don't know. I don't book stuff. But then the actual matches are a younger crew of women who are the next generation, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I think there's a huge swath of even unknown women talent to most of the wrestling fan base that I think could really shine in an event like Empower. And I think just have Gail Kim and Mickey, let them do their spot. Maybe have like Mickey put over someone in like a fun 10-minute match, but like really highlight those younger women.
Yeah. I think so too. I think it's really neat that they're doing all of the different, like there doesn't seem to be any kind of fence here. They've got women from NWA, from MLW, from Impact. Like any women they can get on this thing, they're going to get them in there.
Yeah.
Huh? Go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, and there's some talent that I'm really hoping like get announced. Like I'm really hoping to hear like Trish Adora be announced for it. Maybe like Anna Jay. Maybe just grab people from everywhere and do like a proper This Is Women's Wrestling show.
Yes, but it is all under the NWA umbrella.
Yes.
And I do think that that's going to come with some complications. I think that there are a number of really talented women who left that company for a reason. I'm not saying I have some sort of super inside information, but when people don't re-sign their contracts, it's for a reason, good or bad. So I also think it's going to be a shame that there's a few women I can think of off the top of my head who are likely not going to be a part of that, like a Thunder Rosa or an Allison Kay. There's very little chance they'll be on something like that at this point, right? They don't want to be under that umbrella for a reason. And whatever that is, I mean, it could... Maybe they do pop up. I don't know. My only problem when we mix all of the things, like let's say someone makes a big return like a Ruby Soho. Like how fucking dope would that be to see her wrestle a match?
Oh, yeah.
But then it really leaves you with a looming, well, now what? Is she going to go into NWA? Is she going to go to Impact? Like it just, the massive question mark it ends up with after everyone gets highlighted in these kinds of shows. It's one of the reasons why I was not a big fan of Cody Rhodes' open challenge against every indie star that they could find, was because it was kind of like, well, yeah, but now what? Like, a person's just gone now. Like, I don't understand why we're highlighting and then just letting people step back into the void. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me excited about something and then just pull away. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I absolutely get what you're saying. I felt a lot of that way with, like, when I initially watched All In when it first happened. I was like, oh, that was awesome. Now what's going to happen? You know?
Yeah.
Like the thing happens and it's cool, but then it just nothing.
Yeah. And I mean, there's something to be said for just enjoying the moment and just allowing yourself to be in the show and allow that to happen. And I 100% agree with all that. But at the heart of it, we do like the fantasy book and we do like to think into the future. And when we really like something, we really want to see them continue. It's why we get so upset when people get let go from any of these wrestling companies, because it's always like, damn it, I really enjoyed watching them. And now I don't know when I'll be able to again. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So when you highlight them here and then that's just kind of it, you just go, oh. I mean, was that all that much different than just YouTubing a clip of a random match of them to begin with?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Is it different than like downloading the cause on 2K19 and doing a whole simulated event?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm excited, but I'm hesitant to get too excited because I feel like I'm about to see a bunch of stuff that will largely be irrelevant in 2 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way. I think it's awesome that Mickie James is spearheading this and putting it all together, and she's got big vision here. But unless you're going to break off from NWA and have your own Empower Women's League, I mean, what's going to happen to all that talent?
Yeah.
I mean, sort of like Mission Pro. Mission Pro is great, but it is in its own bubble, you know?
Yeah.
So, let's see. Double checking. All right, cool. So that is cool, the addition of Gail Kim, though. She's fantastic. She's so good.
Such a legend.
Yeah. She followed us for a little bit. I don't know if she still does or not. She did for a while. We were like, what the fuck?
I got followed by a famous wrestling interviewer today. That was exciting.
Valet?
Chris Van Vliet, yeah.
Yeah, Vliet, that's what I meant. Yeah, he followed me and then unfollowed me a month or two later.
That makes sense. I'm expecting the same thing. I'm just milking it while it lasts.
You know what was weird, though, is because I saw someone else like tweet at him being like, oh, I can't believe you followed me. And he goes, we podcasters got to stick together. And I was like, cool. I've also never seen him interact outside of that with any other podcast. But the thing I thought was weirdest about it was when he followed me, I followed him back because I wasn't following him at the time. And I was all like, oh, shoot, I'll follow him. And then all of a sudden I noticed like a month or two later, I was scrolling through and it was like, people you should follow. And it had Vliet. And I was like, I actively remember following him. And I opened it up, and not only was I not following him, he wasn't following me. And I was like, did Twitter just drop it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that happened to me too. I wasn't following him originally, and I was literally at work taking a break, and I checked my phone, like, oh, wow. I got followed by the guy who's interviewed The Rock a bunch.
Well, yeah. And he seems like a pretty nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Let's see. Here's some other news that's going on. I'm wearing my Matt Cardona. I'm here. Impact referee shirt. Because he is the new face of the GCW Universe in the heavyweight division. The new championship title holder, Matt Cardona, beat Toothless Nick Gage. I'm just kidding. I loved he was in an interview with X-Pac on Pro Wrestling for Life, and he just goes like, I really want to win that title. He goes, I think they deserve a champion who has all of his teeth. And I was like, Jesus, dude. So good.
I am so in love with what Cardona is doing right now. I mean,
It's
like
incredible.
when Z True Long Island Story first was like airing, I was 10 years old. So like that was like my childhood portion of growing up as a wrestling fan, was getting super into that show and being a rider mark as an 11-year-old, and then finally now being 21 and seeing the guy that I wanted to do more for so long actually get that opportunity has been really awesome to see.
Yeah, it's wild. And that match was brutal as hell. It had some tomfoolery, some shenanigans, but I guess why wouldn't it? So I saw some people being pretty upset. I saw people being upset that Judas playing sucked the air out of the room. But I think all that did was really build up to the amount of heat that led to the big event that everyone's talking about, where at the end, where Matt Cardona holds up his championship title, and the crowd just starts filling the ring with garbage. Everything that they can pick up and throw, they are picking up and throwing.
Yep. Including pizza cutters, full bottles, you know.
Yeah, the whole thing, man. Everything that they could. And so it was just welting him. He's already on vacation. He like immediately left. But I thought it was awesome. I know. So I assume Mike is a huge Dave Meltzer fan because he's got bad taste. But Dave Meltzer was out there saying that it was an embarrassment to the industry, that fans doing that is an abomination and all that kind of shit. Like, I get that you don't want, because Eric Bischoff's talked about it on his show, how cool it was when the fans threw that much garbage when Hogan turned, but how it was also something that became difficult for them to get in control. Like, there's all sorts of clips you can see of like the outsiders walk into the ring and a soda cup comes flying and nicks them. Right. You know? They've even talked about it. He goes, if it's a plastic beer cup or a plastic soda cup or paper soda cup, he goes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really hurt. He goes, the problem is when they were throw cans and bottles and shit. But it took him a while to get that under control. So I could see that the issue is you just don't want it to be an ongoing thing. But the moment in and of itself was so fucking cool, man.
I think it could even be an ongoing thing if you could somehow get fans to not like bring pizza cutters to throw into the ring.
They like sell little bits, like little Ziploc bags with like the appropriate garbage.
That's a WWE move, honestly.
No, you just hand them out to everyone in the audience as they walk in, and just put just say Cardona confetti on it, and it's just like, you know, candy wrappers and little tin foil balls and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when they planted, I think it was the hugger section signs for Bailey. They would plant them underneath for fans.
That's not true. That's not how that happened. No.
I felt like didn't they do it with someone? I thought they did.
They never did that.
Huh.
There's a fan out there named Lisa Schnur. You can find her on Twitter at Lisa N. Schnur. It's SCHNUR. She is a friend of the show. She goes to all these events and prints out all those signs herself, and she walks up and down the aisles and asks anyone if they want one. Oh.
My apologies then. I stand corrected.
Isn't that remarkable that many people said, yes, we want that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So there's always been jokes about how WWE should hire them amongst us fans who know her. We met her at Royal Rumble 2019. I'm not going to pretend like I've known her forever. We met her there because she was walking around trying to hand out Becky Lynch signs and hugger signs. Oh, and at the takeover, she was handing out Gargano signs. And when she was walking around, I was like, oh, yeah, we need that. And then I saw the man signs. she was handing out at Rumble, and I caught sight of her get towards us and then be told by security to get away from us. And we were in the front, we were in second rows, and our whole section wasn't going to get them. So I ran over there, and I was all like, Lisa, we can't not have man signs up here by camera. So she gave me a bunch to go down there, and I flyered that whole section for her. But she does all that, man. She prints them. She makes them. She's the one who makes those big signs that have like the pattern behind it.
Oh, yeah.
That's her. That's her.
Yeah.
So she's a super fan, and she wants everyone else to be a part of it. And yeah, there was a moment where I was like, I need the man signs. So.
And she stole your sign ladder for Bailey.
We had some heat, man. Me and Lisa, we had some heat for a while there. On the auction site, WWE auction, they had the Hell in a Cell ladder from Bailey Sasha, but it was like the top of it. So it was like the top two, like the very top of it, and like 2 rungs below it. So it was like a section of it. Maybe it was 1 rung, and it was signed by both of them, obviously, and they wrote all over it. And they just put tons of words on it, and I was like, "Holy shit, I'm getting this!" And I had put away a bunch of money. This was right after. Was it right after or before Foley? I think it was after Foley. Foley dicked me on an auction. We'll talk about that another time. He's a nice guy. He was just a dick to me and fucked me up, man. But so I'm auctioning on this thing, and I'm bidding it up, and people are like, "Oh, this and that," and I'm just like pushing it up. I get it to like $650, and then it like goes up again, and I was like, "Fuck!" And so I just didn't. And then someone else was like, after it closed, posted a picture and goes, "Oh, all it cost was like $700, and you could have had the top." And I was like, whoever got it is the person who outbid me, because that last 40 minutes I was going back and forth with one person. And then Lisa messaged me, and she's like, about that. And I was like, Lisa, I could have saved you like $300. Like, I would have stopped if I knew it was you and you were going to go that high. I just wouldn't have done it. You know, I could have battled it out with you. But yeah, so then, but when she got it in, she sent a picture of it to me and showed me it. And then when Christmas rolled around, she sent a picture of it by the tree, and she goes, "I needed to step on something to get the topper on." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but it's all good. But yeah, so yeah, you could do Matt Cardona confetti, but yeah, at the shows, those little flyers, the big signs, you'll notice there's certain shows where it's just not there, and you won't see that big sign back there. It's because Lisa's not there, and WWE has no part in it. It seems otherwise like they might.
Right.
But you've learned about Lisa today, friend
have.
of the show.
Great to learn about new people.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. So what did you think about Cardona winning the GCW championship? The crowd throwing all the trash in there. Do you think this is horrible and an embarrassment to the industry?
I think the fans that threw the dangerous stuff are. And I'm a little unsure about GCW making the Melter tweet a shirt, because I feel like there are some bad parts of how the audience was acting all weekend. But I think it's dangerous territory to have people throwing bottles and then have someone who is saying, "Oh, I don't like that," and then making that a T-shirt to sell to the fans, ironically.
Did they do
unsure
that? They made a
about
shirt of it?
that. They made a shirt of it. They made a shirt that's just a screenshot of the Meltzer tweet and was selling it night 2.
I'm looking on their website to see if it's up there. Do you think they're selling it on their site, or is it just at the event?
I don't know if they were selling it at the event or online, but I know it was definitely like a limited time thing, they said when they posted it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But other than that, I love the experience of the crowd reaction. Like watching that reaction and watching Cardona win the title was so like surreal, because we haven't had something like that in wrestling in a while.
I thought it was pretty legit, because I think the fan base there is that rabid, and I think they really were that pissed, man.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome. And I love how Cardona works that audience. Like, he does it so flawlessly, where everything he says and does is using WWE vernacular, and they just absolutely can't stand it.
I love it. I love the GCW Universe.
Yeah.
I've seen some people saying he should redesign the title with a red strap and call it the GCW Universal Championship.
Someone tweeted at him and asked him if he was going to put Velcro on it, and he's like, "Holy shit, I should."
Oh my gosh! Honestly, that Velcro bugs me, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah. I think it'd be amazing. He's doing so good with this. He's doing awesome. I loved it. I couldn't have been more excited about it. And even when the match was going on, I was like, man, if GCW had a fucking set on them, they would give that title to Cardona and watch the whole fucking crowd melt down.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they did it, I was like, holy shit, they might be the best company in wrestling. They fucking went for it.
Yeah, I prefer Cardona winning the title over Gage retaining. Honestly, I was of the opinion that he was going in. I expected him to win the title with all the stuff he was doing. I like expected it, but then was still like, oh, they actually did it when it happened.
Yeah. I wonder, do you think, because I'm just throwing this out there, do you think this has to do with Nick Gage's involvement in AEW and the fact that he's going to have to go lose to Jericho now?
Do I think him losing to Cardona has part of?
Yes. If you take the championship off of Nick Gage now, then he can go to AEW and lose, and there's no question as to why the title's not there or why Jericho should be the champion or shouldn't. That's just already not in the conversation. It just squashes that now. Nick Gage goes there, he loses to Jericho like he's supposed to, and then they get a real tough person for challenge number 3.
I think it's part of it. I think it's part of why Gage dropped the title. I also think that it's just part of an overall story that I feel like they're going to try to tell with Gage to try to get him even more over than he already is. I think they're going to try to do an underdog type thing with Gage.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. What was the chat that's in there?
Bishop?
Yeah.
You just have terrible takes, I guess. Must be the toxic side.
What do you mean?
Is that
Who's
about
got
me?
takes? Micah?
Is Micah the toxic side of me?
Toxic Micah. Hashtag Toxic Micah.
Hashtag Micah is toxic.
Micah is toxic. Yeah.
Bishop says, could have gotten out of Gabe and the title issue with the DQ finish, but hey, can't do that.
With Jericho? Do you finish? That's what I'm saying. They can't, though, because the whole thing is that Jericho, who is like severely worked himself into a god complex, is going through the tribulations of Hercules because Hercules is a god among men, and so now he has to show that that's him. And step 2 out of 5 is Nick Gage. So there's no way they're just going to end it there and be like, well, that came to a screeching halt, and Nick Gage beat the shit out of him, and now MJF's in a different program. This is what they've been leading to for, like, forever. It's been as obvious as can be since it started. The day that MJF and Jericho even started talking, it's like, oh, MJF's going to join Inner Circle and then turn on him. And they took forever to do it, but it's like so telegraphed. That's my biggest problem, is that the surprises aren't surprises.
Yeah.
But I'm bummed that they're doing this to Nick Gage. I love that he lost to Cardona, but I wish they just created a more violent scene in GCW. But for him to lose to Cardona so that way he could lose to Jericho, I do think that it's going to begin to diminish his character a bit, and I think that Nick Gage is going to need to go on quite the fucking tear after that. I think he can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He can, and he will, for sure. But,
Bishop says, but Gage could be DQ'd for going deathmatch when he shouldn't have.
There's no DQs in AEW.
yeah.
That's their moniker. You can do literally anything, and we will not DQ you because we don't do DQ finishes because we want real wins and losses.
Yeah. And even then, isn't the match with Gage, like, specifically no DQ anyways?
If you've never had a DQ in the company and you say that you take pride as a company that refuses to do DQs, then making a match no DQ doesn't mean anything. It was no DQ to begin with. The whole organization's no DQ.
Mika's in the chat saying the trials of Hercules were to prove that he was ready to be a god. He was not a god at the time of the trials. And then Bishop says, that's my point.
Damn, we just got actually by Micah.
Yeah, no, Micah repeated what I said. He just repeated what I said in a different order. Yeah. Hercules, the story of Hercules is about a demigod on Earth, is what I said. And you go, not at that time. The story doesn't start if it doesn't have an ending. What'd you think the book was about when you started it?
Semantics.
Piece of shit. I'm gonna
You
fucking
had to
backhand
Micah
Micah.
explain
So.
it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Anakin at the time was not a Sith Lord. Piece of shit.
I have not watched Star Wars, so that's not a joke I would get.
Okay. All right.
I said I don't like Star Wars, and the usual reaction happened.
I need a drink. I need a fucking drink. All right. Well, overall, I'm happy with Cardona's win. I'm happy with him as a champion. And we'll see what happens on Wednesday when Nick Gage loses and how they go about doing that. Was there any other news stuff that you came across that you want to make sure you touch on?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, nothing really comes up to me either. I don't remember. I think tickets for CWF Atlanta are going to be going on sale real soon. They announced a date. I believe it's going to be September 2nd in Atlanta. Definitely going to keep my eye out on that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I really want to try, but it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to be honest.
Bishop's in the chat saying Hercules was always a demigod. He was never not a half human, half man.
That's how he was born.
Okay. All right.
Zeus did up his mom.
Okay.
It's in his genetics, man. It's his genes.
I don't think there's other news.
Can Zeus splooge. All right. I got no other news. Do you want to talk about SmackDown? Producer's getting pretty pissed. Let's talk about it.
It was certainly a show, SmackDown. It happened on Friday.
Kind of scrolling through. Oh, this was a weird one, man. This one.
Bishop said half human, half god. Oops.
Yeah. So it opened up with Cena, which was cool. I thought Cena did a good promo. He called out Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman sang John Cena's song. Like, I thought it started strong. I thought the show started strong. Did you think overall it was a bad show?
No, I don't think it was a bad show. I think SmackDown hasn't been bad in a while, personally.
Yeah.
Raw's a different story, but we'll get to that. But I don't think SmackDown has been bad for a bit. I think just some episodes that are a lot stronger than others.
Yeah. Yeah. This one felt like a hype episode. I was mentioning it before last week because they did it some last week, but I feel like they did it a bunch this week as well. I'm getting the impression that WWE has the impression that a lot of people tuned out because there's no fans. And now that there are fans in the crowd, they're expecting everyone to just tune back in. So they're trying to catch people up.
Yeah,
Right.
there was a lot of catch up.
They were playing stuff that had happened before. They played Apollo Crews video package last week. Just saying this is our Intercontinental Champion. He's not going to be on the show today, but he'll make it back here eventually. Like,
Right.
they showed Sami Zayn on this one in Clash of Champions on his way to a match that had nothing to do with anybody in Clash of Champions. I mean, on Raw, they did a bunch of stuff too, like recapping stuff from WrestleMania even, recapping Natty and Tamina as tag champions. Like, they were recapping stuff from when there were no fans.
Yeah. And I think that is good if you don't do that all the time. I think having that as something you do before sub matches is like fine, but like I liked it when they did it with Jeff before the cross match last week, where they showed like Jeff Hardy back in 2008 winning the WWE title and sort of reminding people that despite his place on the card, Jeff Hardy is a former WWE champion. He is a former world champion. I like it when they use it for that, but when they use it for like, hey, remember Sami Zayn? He did a thing 3 months ago. Like that's what it's.
And I think that those are 100%. Those are not for us because we've been watching. I think they expect that. There are people who were not watching 3 months ago who's going to go, oh shit, that's a crazy looking ladder match. Maybe we should look it up. It's probably season 33 of Clash of Champions, season 2. Fucking.
I wonder if they think that after like the festival that they were at, maybe they're like, all right, so the people who were there who are like, hey, maybe I'll watch that. Maybe they're trying to catch, just thinking, oh, we got new viewers.
But they've been doing it since before the festival, and they're doing it after it as well. That's what I mean. Like, I think that we might be stuck with this for a bit. It might be a solid month before they stop trying to catch up the audience on shit they missed during Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny when you think about it. Because I think that there's a reality to that. There are friends I had who watched wrestling semi-regularly before, but told me once there were no fans that they just weren't going to watch again until there were fans. So it's there was definitely with the mentality. But I also think it's a little funny to be like, in case you missed it, and hey, this is what happened while you were gone. Hey, here's some matches you should go back and watch. And it's also kind of presumptuous to also be all like, granted, we don't know about all the numbers. We talk about ratings very little here because we think that there's a lot of metrics that go into viewership that's not the Nielsen numbers. But that's what everyone talks about. And if the conversation is ratings are down, they're turning the conversation is, yeah, temporarily. They're all coming back. I just have to tell them what happened.
As long as they know, they'll just keep coming.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they got Cena and Becky in their back pocket.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think Cena's going to bring a lot of viewership back.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No?
I think Cena being back is a big one for them trying to get more people back watching the show.
Yeah, they're having his story begin like he was anchoring the show. Cena's going to open the show, and Roman's response will be at the end of the show. So if you want to know what's going on with Roman, you're going to have to kind of sit through this thing. They're doing it smart, if you ask me. They have Cena, and they've announced Cena. This is the summer of Cena, where they've announced a ton of shows that he's going to be at. This is where he will be, because they want people to go to all these shows for Cena, a fucking movie star. So that way, when they're there, they can be like, yeah, I'm glad I came and saw Cena, but fuck, did you notice Finn Balor? I didn't realize Roman Reigns was like this now. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to, I think they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, good teases.
Yeah. I think Roman Reigns is a big one for like the lapsed fans who haven't watched since the Thunderdome era. I think they're going to see, oh, Roman Reigns is still the Universal Champion, and they're immediately going to think, oh, it's the same old, same old. Yeah. When it's far from that.
I think Balor, too, because the last time that the main roster people saw Balor, he was smiley and jovial and got his neck broke by Bray Wyatt. You know, Balor is for everyone. And then he comes back, and he's a fucking badass James Dean type.
Balls out.
Balls out. And they're like, I remember him popping boners, but I don't remember him hanging fruit. This is the new Balor.
A new meaning to for everyone.
Oh yeah, for everyone. Yeah. Balor is balls to the wall and balls to the floor. That is just how Balor is, man. He puts the ball in baller. Balor? It's with an accent mark. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot to it. I do think. And I think Sami Zayn is a totally different character than they're used to seeing. I do think that there's something to it. We're going to see what happens after the summer of Cena, but I think we're going to see numbers fluctuate a little bit. And I think there's a lot of numbers we're just not going to see at all. I mean, we know for a fact from, forget who you were following on LinkedIn who had that interview, but they talked about how Fox now doesn't report numbers at all. That if you watch SmackDown through Fox, they don't know it. It's a ghost viewership. So that's why the Nielsen ratings are so meaningless at this point, because they mean very little when the companies aren't even reporting viewership. I remember reading a Forbes article about the ratings of Young Rock when it came out, and the NBC representative they talked to said, yeah, these were the numbers, but not only are they antiquated, we're having meetings soon about just abolishing them altogether. They don't mean what you think they mean, and they don't reflect actual viewership at this point. There's too many ways to watch on too many platforms.
Yeah, technology has advanced.
Yeah, that at this point, Nielsen ratings and Nielsen households. When you get a fucking Apple TV, it asks you, do you want to be part of the Nielsen rating system? And you can say no. All right. Or you say yes, and then it like sort of monitors some stuff. Like, and a lot of those ratings are like, as long as you flipped through it for a second, they'll be like, yep, that person was watching for a minute. And you're like, okay, well. Yeah. It's just weird. But I do think that there is something to be said for people weren't watching because crowds being absent was weird. Yeah. Crowds are back. People are excited about it. And now you say, and fucking John Cena, the movie star, is here.
Yeah. I want to get people in those seats.
Yeah. Get those ticket prices moving.
Yeah. What do you think about the team jorts or team cargo pants?
It's hard for me because I had two phases of being a wrestling fan growing up. One phase was I didn't watch, but I exclusively played SmackDown versus Raw 2006. Yeah. And then the other phase was I started watching again in 2010, which was like peak cargo shorts Cena.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think just because it was like the first thing and the image that still sticks really true in my head, I'm going to have to say jean shorts, the jorts.
The jorts.
The jorts, for sure. That's quintessential Cena. Vintage Cena, as Michael Cole would say.
Yeah. I like that. We'll just talk about it now real quick because it's only minorly relevant later. When R-Truth had his match on Raw, he was dressed as Cena. He had jean shorts, sneakers, the knee pads, and he had the 2 wristbands on both arms and an armband on the thing, and he didn't even bring it up. Yeah. He just did it because his character at this point looks up to John Cena, his childhood hero.
Yeah, neon green shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, and now that Cena's back, he just took fucking Cena's merch, flipped it inside out so you wouldn't... You know what I mean? It was so fucking good, dude.
Fucking love it. R-Truth is great. His whole Cena shtick is the best.
Yo, so going through... Anything you want to say about the Paul Heyman, John Cena stuff?
Just that it was really good, as you should expect from a promo segment between John Cena and Paul Heyman. Just both of them are always on the top level of promo giving, and they did not fail to deliver.
They have the best straight faces. I don't know how they don't laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Boop, boo, doo, boo. Boop, boo, doo, boo.
I'm kind of upset that John Cena sucks hasn't stuck as a thing like the "you suck" chants for Kurt Angle has. Because I remember having so much fun chanting John Cena sucks when he would come out.
That's funny. I think that he hasn't gotten his own franchise yet, but he's up there with like Rock popularity at this point, where that's what happened with Rock. It was all Rocky sucks, Rocky die, and then he goes and did some movies and came back, and it was like, Rocky,
we love you.
Yeah, it just became, he's the movie star that's one of us.
Right.
And I think that's where Cena has landed now. He's the movie star that's one of us.
I wonder what kind of booze he's going to come out with.
Booze?
Yeah, because The Rock's got his tequila.
Rock does have tequila. I'll tell you, any bottle of liquid from John Cena, I'm sucking down.
It's good. It's going to be like a beer with a camouflage can or whatever.
It's going to be vodka. Has to be vodka. Just with a clear label, like a cellophane label. Yeah.
The you can't see me. Oh, it's good.
Yep. I don't know. It was awesome, man. I love the way they opened the show. Do you know what Cena kind of reminded me of? This is going to sound like weird, especially considering the things I've said in the past. The way he was talking to the crowd and being like, "Do you want it?" I was like, "I thought you guys were loud." And you know what I mean? Like he was just fucking getting the crowd riled up. Yeah. It reminded me of when I saw Jericho live during peak Jericho List of Jericho stuff, and we were on a commercial break. The way he interacted with the crowd was like, you knew he was just fucking riling you up to get you to make noise, and you couldn't help but smile and just do it. It was just that kind of that charisma of, you guys are loud tonight. Woo! so happy to be here, like all that shit just to get the crowd to make noise and be excited. And John Cena seemed like he was really doing that. You guys happy to be here at SmackDown Live? Woo!
And that's the stuff
Well, I'm happy to be in Kansas.
I always miss that crowd interaction. That's the big thing I think I noticed is that there wasn't any crowd work involved in promos, so it felt very weird. Yeah. With promos, and now the crowd work is back. It's normal again. It's normal wrestling.
Yeah, it's like more exciting than ever. I feel like. Just in time to say you can still hear the crowd trying to sing "John Cena sucks" during his theme, but those people get completely smothered by the cheers. I think that's true because I think a lot of people are there to see Cena.
Yeah,
knowing he's going to be there. He's going to be at the shows I'm going to. Let's see. After that, we did have Finn Balor defeating Sami Zayn. Man, Balor versus Sami Zayn, fucking forever. No problems with this ever.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're the best things have come out of NXT. They're amazing wrestlers.
So good.
I think you could just throw them both, throw them in a ring and say, you got 2 hours to kill. This is SmackDown. And it would be one of the better SmackDowns in quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so good. I couldn't believe it opened up the way that it did. And I feel like I'm going to miss a segment in here. Let's see what's going on. Although those guys always put on a killer show. Was this their second match? Did they have a match last week? I don't know. Just anytime they're in the ring together, I'm happy about it. And then Balor's just looking like a badass the whole time. I think it might have been their first. Yeah. Let's see. We had. So this is where they ended up going to Rolling Loud. Let's talk about that a little bit. They go to Rolling Loud. I think there was a promo in here with Corbin.
Oh, yeah. Ketchup
Yeah. Yeah, they had the backstage stuff with Corbin. He had ketchup on his shirt. We was talking with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens was all like, dude, is it the same shirt from last week? He goes, no. He goes, there's ketchup on this one. He's like, it's spaghetti sauce, man. He cut that promo with Kayla that's on the internet where he's all like, I didn't have a can opener, so I had to smash the can on the sidewalk till it opened. It's like, fuck.
So good. I love it so much.
Yeah, I just tweeted, welcome to my world, Corbin.
Yeah. And then I actually remember when my brother first moved out of the house, he didn't have much money. He was broke, and he literally counted his change to go get a can of chili, and gets home and realized he doesn't have a can opener. And he was just felt so defeated. Like, what the fuck now?
It's the worst.
Yeah.
So you gotta look for the cans with the tabs.
Get the cans with the tabs.
Yeah.
Or get your fucking hammer going. So, on paper, this sounds so dumb. He comes over there moping. Kevin Owens says, yeah, dude, you screwed over everybody, but gives him like $40. Yeah. And then as the camera pans out, there's Shotzi and Tegan Knox in the tank, and they blow the Nerf ball right into his balls, and he just goes, oh! Fucking drops like a bag of potatoes. And then out of nowhere, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode come over laughing at him and pull the money out of his hand, just being like, like cartoonishly Simpson-esque.
Like the bullies that just run over.
Yeah. Like, couldn't be more Nelson. And then Kevin Owens comes over with a chair and chases him away and gets the money back. But fuck, if this didn't land perfectly with me, dude. I was laughing so hard during this. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they got me with this one. It's so fucking well executed.
There's something about the Corbin stuff, man. I mean, the combination of we're actually starting to feel bad for Corbin now, and Corbin's kind of turning face. But then also, everyone that Corbin's wronged is going to take this opportunity to mess with him a little bit while he's down on his luck. It's just so good.
Yeah.
We forget Corbin's had some crazy stuff happen. I mean, he had the dog food all over him. You know, he's kind of gone through some stuff.
Corbin is the ultimate team player for sure. They're like, hey, we want to throw a bunch of dog food on you. He's like, something that looks like dog food? No, cheap dog food. Shitty, disgusting dog food.
Probably why he's continued to get pushed so much, because he's so willing to make himself look like a fool sometimes.
And he puts 100% of himself in it when he's going to. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. Sort of like FTR. FTR were flawless in all of their skits. Go back and watch them, and if you think it's all shitty and stupid or whatnot, they did the shave the back thing and the Uzi hot. Yeah, they were dumb on paper, but when you watch them, those guys executed those spots perfectly. Like above and beyond, making sure that they were believable and that it worked. And Baron Corbin's the same way. That's why I think the FTR, in even a short period of time, was just like endless tag champs all the time.
Right.
But it goes into what we were talking about like a week or two ago. What does a good gimmick mean? Does it come from someone specifically, or is it about being invested in it? So, Derek, I'm going to pose the question to you because I've been asking a lot of people to find out who is dumb or not. I'm just kidding. The idea that, like, when Nikki Cross came out with a superhero gimmick, people were shitting on it, saying this is a terrible gimmick. Then she came out and said, it's been my idea I've been fighting to do for 6 months. And they go, and it's a delightful gimmick. This is perfect. People change their view immediately based off of who created it, right?
Right.
I don't know that there's a difference between a good idea and a bad idea depending on where it came from. The only difference is who's invested enough to make it happen. So if Nikki said, yeah, they gave me this idea, but I actually fucking love it and I think I'm going to do something good with it, does that make any difference if it came from Vince or not? With Baron doing all these things, like you said, he's 100% invested in every way into everything they give him, and I think that makes a hell of a difference too, because they've straddled him with some weird, shitty storylines, and he's never failed on them. Look at Mankind, look at Undertaker, look at Goldust. These are all shitty gimmicks on paper. Terrible gimmicks on paper, but the people were invested fully and made them work. I don't know that those gimmicks are on paper any worse than the Goon or Dan the Dad or Man Scout, all that shit that's out there. What do you think about investment versus origin as far as good gimmick or bad gimmick, or what makes a good or bad gimmick?
I don't think where it came from, I don't think it matters at all, honestly, where the idea for the gimmick came from. I think there's an idea for a gimmick. Yeah, that's one thing, sure. But the actual impact the gimmick makes, I think, truly depends on who has the gimmick and what they're going to do to take that gimmick to the next level. Yeah. Like, I see a lot of the things people are saying about Nikki is that they just don't get it. And, like, I don't think that's anything against Nikki. I just think that, like, people know Nikki as one thing, and Nikki really made that one thing her sort of Nikki Cross NXT gimmick. And this is very much a different end of that. Like, and I think I think Nikki did such a good job at establishing that gimmick back in NXT that this now feels very strange to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, producer.
I will say the one thing I did notice about Nikki the first time we saw her is I just turned to Marsh and I said, she is so comfortable with this. This is what's gonna do it, because even the best friend of Alexa Bliss stuff that she was doing, to me, she didn't seem as just comfortable in her own skin.
Right.
You know, it kind of seemed like, okay, going along with it. But this, I was like, oh, she like tapped into this. Like, she is feeling this and I'm down with it. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, my first thought was this is something to latch on to. Because I was like, she's been pretty close to identityless. She's been basically born identity. Mm-hmm. And for years, since she made it to the main roster, she was there with Sanity for just a hiccup, and then Sanity devolves into nothing. And then she was running around as Crazy Nikki for all of 2 weeks before she becomes Alexa Bliss's best friend. And then that's her gimmick for over a year, Alexa Bliss's best friend, Nikki Cross. Then after she breaks away from Alexa Bliss, she just comes out as over-caffeinated Nikki Cross with peppy music, but there's no identity there. So when she got the superhero, I was like, well, this might look silly right now. Because I even said it out loud. I was like, this might look a little silly. And I was like, but for one, I like it. I like the blue under the mask, which she got rid of, and I'm bummed about. I was like, but this looks like something she can latch on to and really run with. This is an identity to to grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I love the silliness in wrestling. I think silliness in wrestling has a really good place, and I think that she, just with the idea of a superhero gimmick, can take it so far. And I'm really excited to see where it holds. And I'm really excited for this Raw Women's Championship reign that she's got going on.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more when we get to Raw. But I did want to see what you thought was on as far as the gimmick, because I've seen people literally say Vince McMahon came up with this shit, and you go, no, it actually came from Nikki. And you're like, well, it's because that's what makes it so good, is it came from Nikki. And you're like, no, you can't say it's bad or good based off who said it. It's either bad or good because of how it's portrayed. You know what I mean? And I do think that a lot of failed gimmicks that people talk about being bad, I think there's a handful of just bad gimmicks. I think there's a larger bucket full of people who weren't invested in getting that character over in any way. They said it's a bad gimmick and I'm not going to do it, and that's why it was shitty, because they allowed it to be what it was on paper. They didn't allow it to grow in any direction like literally all of the greats did. Mm-hmm. Cena's gimmick was stupid for a long time.
Oh yeah. Even like I was watching a clip recently of Cena when he was still in the Ruthless Aggression gimmick, when he was teaming up with Edge and Ray, that whole backstage promo. And that was very silly, because that gimmick was just Cena is aggressive.
Yes.
To the max.
Yeah, we're selling Pointless Aggression shirts on our PWT's site. If you go to WrestlingOnRocks.com and click on shop, you can get your Pointless Aggression t-shirts. Pointless Aggression is the thing that sets us apart from every other podcast in the locker room.
Ooh. Oh yeah, for sure.
Dick. Pointless Aggression. Yo, so getting back to SmackDown, they did go to Rolling Loud, and the first match they shows up is Angelo Dawkins. So like Wale comes out and introduces the Street Profits. They come out and they look like clowns to me, man. Like, I don't want to be a dick, but I feel like that's what it looked like. Then they end up having a mediocre match, but also the ring was like 20 feet in the air. Like, they showed that drone shot of the audience, and they were a good 20 feet from the stage with all those guardrails, and the ring was not only on top of the stage, but then elevated, and it's the ring. So it was like, I don't know. We saw no screens there. I was like, I don't know. The first thing we said was, can anyone see this match? Because the match isn't up against where they are. It's back to the back middle of the stage.
Right.
This match happened, followed by Carmella and Bianca, and I think the same can be said for both. The crowd just didn't give a shit, and I think that part of it, I think they couldn't see. I think part of it, they didn't give a shit. I think part of it is they didn't make it look spectacular even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. That crowd was, they tried something new, WWE did with this, and I think it's something they should try again in the future, but not the way they did it with Rolling Loud. I think a combination of just sort of randomly there's WWE matches at this completely separate event, combined with the fans probably couldn't see much of what was going on, and none of the fans were specifically there for that, and if there were, it was very few of them.
Yeah. I forget the name of the artist who actually came out to perform afterwards, but it was like specifically way off. But I thought it was such a great idea, and when I was actually talking to producer before it came on, we saw that article came out that said a stage collapses at Rolling Loud. And I was like, how wild is that? And she's like, you think it's their stage? And I was like, I can't imagine they'd be on an actual stage. I was like, because looking at what fell over, I used to do ring crew stuff, and I used to work for the amphitheater, the Tucson Community Center or Convention Center, and used to set up the rigs for all of the concerts that came through. I was like, that's a back wall. That's a giant back wall with the sides of it. And I was like, you could see part of the stage. I was like, I didn't see ring parts, but at the same time, it's like I can't imagine they put it on a stage. I think they're going to do it like they do the USO tours, where it's on the ground level. They have a crowd of people inside like a tent, and they use only handheld cameras and just kind of go around the ring and shoot it like they would a live event, but you see all of the USO troops there and stuff. Right. And then when they opened the shot of what it was, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why would you put it on a stage?
People were
But that's what makes it even more embarrassing. Is if I'm drunk at a venue to see a band play, and a ring is there, and like we're gonna see a wrestling match, I'd be like, fuck it, because I'm drunk. I don't give a shit. Fuck it, let's do it. And then every single time someone does something, wow, wow, like there wasn't even fake reaction. There wasn't even drunk, I'm just happy to be here reaction. Everyone was like contemplating if they should pee themselves and lose their spot in line.
Right.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Everyone's. It felt like everyone was waiting through a commercial break.
Yeah. It feels like how I felt when the Shining Stars would enter, because they had zero pop at all when they came out. And I remember even as a young wrestling fan noticing that. And if that's the same thing I felt when I saw the Rolling Loud crowd.
Who's the Shining Stars?
That was Primo and Epico's gimmick back in like
Yes.
2015, 2016.
Yes. Good call. My apologies.
I love bringing up
absolutely.
very niche wrestling references.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's also the point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the point is not only were they that not over, they were ultimately that forgettable in general, that it was like, yeah, nobody cared so much that as soon as they weren't on your TV, you forgot. Every time the Colognes were on a draft, Primo and Epico drafted here, we're always like, what? They're still here? Like it was a thing. You know, I remember that specifically.
Yeah.
And then everyone just went, okay. Like,
Yeah. They would
just
go
time-
somewhere. They would go somewhere and get pushed for like 3 weeks and then disappear again and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, FTR would get a couple wins over them, and then they were gone again. Like, okay. Just in time to say the Rolling Loud matches were so out of place here, the crowd gave no shits. And that's what I mean. Like, dude, my stomach like sunk during this. And I was like, is it possible at all that it's an open air stadium so the sound is just going away? But as you're looking at the crowd, you're like, no, they're not even looking that direction. Everyone turned around. It was, but even at a fair, you cheer for pig races just because you're there. You know what I mean? Like, when you go to these things, a lot of times it's like, yeah, but you just cheer for random shit because you're drunk and you go out just to see a show. I want to go see these bands, yes, but ultimately I'm going for the show, for the experience. I got to imagine that if you're, I mean, it's got to be a little different, but Bushwick Bears out in New York, every now and again, one of the Bushwick Bears, Jericho, he does a comedy show. He'll host a comedy show that also has a death match, a bar fight death match during the comedy show. And you'd think that you'd get a lot of air sucking out of the room here, but it doesn't. It feeds off each other because people are all like, fuck it, we're here, we're drunk, we're laughing at these guys, we're going to cheer at these guys. Like, there is just a general vibe of trying to be around a thing and enjoy where you're at for the sake of enjoying it. And then there's what happened here, where people just went, fuck you, forget it. Boo. Like, I'm surprised they didn't fill the ring with garbage.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I saw a number of people leave that area, but at the same time, it's like a lot of people just stood there like they were standing through a commercial break.
Well,
But that's my point. My point is that they're not wrestling fans, and they still didn't give a shit enough to cheer aimlessly. I'm saying that's the state of things. The point is that they weren't there for wrestling, and even people who aren't there for wrestling at this point have checked that much out of wrestling. That's my point.
That it's not like Stone Cold
No, not that it's not like Stone Cold. That it's not like a pig race. That it's not like midgets fighting. It's not like a bar fight. It's like nothing happened on stage. They became that voided. That's my point. Not that, Stone Cold would have gotten them. Maybe, maybe not. But I'm saying that the crowd at this point, they could have been wiping down. They could have been mopping the stage and they would have reacted the same. They give that little shits about wrestling in the general public.
do you think the reaction would have been different from the crowd if they put Bianca and Carmella before Angelo Dawkins and Chad Gable? Because I feel like if Chad Gable versus Angelo Dawkins in 2021 is the opening match, I feel like a lot of fans are not going to know who either of those people are. Whereas a fan might at least have heard, oh, Bianca Belair, she's the one who won the Royal Rumble and the title.
Yeah, I think that for one, just having pretty women out there first would have made a difference in general, because people have been like, oh, who are these women, right?
Right.
I think Angelo Dawkins and Chad Gable, respectfully, are mid-card at best as it is. I think that having the Street Profits come out first to mediocre rap music comes off really fucking pandering to an audience there to see a much different type of rap. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
I do think that having Angelo Dawkins and Chad Gable out there first was sucking the air out of the room for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been better to have the New Day out there for sure if you were going to have a tag team at all, because at least that they can talk to a crowd. You know what I mean?
Do you think Dawkins and Gable would have had a similar reaction if it was at the SmackDown taping?
Yes. I think Dawkins and Gable would have had close to crickets inside of an arena with wrestling fans as well. And I think that they killed it for Bianca and Carmella for sure. And Bianca's the only one who got any form of pyro whatsoever. She got fire behind her. So it was already like, well, here's literally 5 wrestlers that came out first. They just walked out on stage like they were carrying cross on their debut.
Well,
And then you had someone later come out with fire, and then someone else just kind of walk out and walk into the ring. And you're just kind of like, there's like no showmanship.
someone commented on Instagram saying to Carmella, man, that crowd really didn't care. And she just responded, LOL. So, you know, she doesn't, she didn't take too much of, you know, that crowd, you know, of their reaction. Because it was what it was. They made cool appearances, and I don't know. It was an odd festival.
Yeah, it's
Tried
just bummed me
something,
out.
It didn't work. I hope they do it at a more fitting show.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's what it comes down to is they definitely tried something, and I bet you that's the LOL comes from. It's all like, yeah, that didn't work out. I do think that if they had other people in there, like even if they had put Apollo Crews and Big E out there first and actually had Wale sing Big E to the ring, that's a Wale song. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was really hoping that somehow they were going to get R-Truth, just because I was like, he's got an album. I mean,
yeah. Why wasn't R-Truth out there doing his whole entrance song?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could have provided music for the music fans. You just fucking didn't.
yeah, they did not lean so much into the music side. The Titantron is in our YouTube chat saying, hey, first time checking out live, loving the vibe of the show already. Thanks for tuning in, man.
Oh, cheers, dude. What's in your glass?
Killer. Party hardy.
Yeah. So they could have provided music, and I think it would have gave a different vibe. They could have not put the most flatulent looking man in all of WWE in the first match. I don't think that. I mean, and also Dawkins wrestles like a child on a trampoline. And I don't mean that like the Young Bucks who actually flip. I mean like a fat kid on a trampoline who goes, look, I can spin in a circle. They can't flip, but they can do a 180. You know what I mean? He's not impressive.
I get what you're saying. I'm actually a huge Dawkins fan. I really like the way he wrestles, honestly. I think it's...
Did you have a trampoline growing up?
It's not the flashiest and it's not the best, but it's... there's something about like a unique way of wrestling that resonates with me personally. It's also why I really liked Mojo in the ring, Mojo Rawley.
Yes. Also, it's why Kevlar liked Matt Riddle, because when Kevlar had a trampoline as a kid, he used to get on the trampoline in sandals and jump up and kick his sandals off.
Did the birds fly out too?
Never got the birds, man. Couldn't figure it out.
Titantron's in the chat saying, been saying it from the start, you needed Cena to make an appearance, or even someone like Hardy or Mysterio to connect with the casual fans. And then they said, flatulent off my ass off. Okay, that won me over. I love this show.
Yeah. Every time that Dawkins does that spinning, it's that he like runs towards the corner, spins in a circle, and then hits the guy with his arm. I just feel like he definitely farted there.
It makes me laugh every time. I'm sorry.
It doesn't look good.
Like, I legit just die because I'm like, I could do that.
He wrestles like that kid from Mad TV. Look what I can do. That's how he wrestles. That's how he wrestles.
Michael?
I thought it was Steven. Wasn't that Steven's name? But And I get it. He's got fans, and you can be a fan, and he's been there for 7 years, but he was a body bag for most of those years. He was telling stories about how Alexa Bliss practiced the Twisted Bliss on him. He got hit with it like 200 times. It was like, we need to stop using a mat. We need to use a body. Hey, Dawkins, get in the ring and lay down. Everyone practiced their finishers on him. I'm just saying. The dude has been getting in better shape, and if he was a monster if he actually adopted the Mojo style moveset, like with those shoulder tackles and shit, I'd probably be into him. I loved Mojo. But Mojo also would have got the crowd more excited.
Yeah.
Just because he would have grabbed a mic. But I agree, yeah. Cena could have come out there, and he could have cut his first promo there, and then flown back. He's done shit like that. I mean, I think even, honest to God, if you're going to have Wale open it like they did, sweet. Have Wale open it, and have the first thing he says is, y'all want to go big? Then say that. And fucking sing out Big E. Have Big E come out with the rest of the New Day. They're all right there, dancing around, do the entire song. And then have it followed up with anybody but Dawkins.
And then even if they still don't know anyone there, they'll at least go, oh, that's the guy that Wale rapped in to the thing.
Yeah. Oh, cool. We got to see Wale do a song too. I don't even know that song. And then you look it up and go, oh, it's because he sings for a wrestler? How cool is that? But no. Wale walked out there in his pajamas and was all like, I guess the Street Profits are behind me. And then they came out like, what? Like they didn't even look like they knew what they were doing. And then Otis came out going, where's my ham? And then Gable and Dawkins just wrestled around until the ring was probably too smelly to stand. And they said, let's call it.
The most different of what from a WWE crowd has been since Stone Cold started the chants.
Yeah, 100%. Jeremy in the chat says the clones would say, come to Puerto Rico, the shining star of the Caribbean. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, this whole section was really deflating as a wrestling fan because you're like, fuck, they're not even like pretending. I've seen people go to local wrestling shows who just went because they were told just to go. I've been to wrestling events at swap meets that had more lively crowds because it was a wrestling show at a swap meet. People were there to find stolen CDs and cheap fucking illegal knives. And then they see a wrestling show and they go, fuck it, I'll watch that. And they see two dudes slobbering on each other because they have no training, but they're trying. And people go, yeah! Because why the fuck else not? You have beers, free show, why not? And it was just deflating to be like, fuck, they don't even give a shit enough to golf clap.
I will say I don't know how much these tickets were. If it was expensive and you saw something you just didn't care to see, I could see that happening. Just I don't know, trying to understand why.
I disagree. If in the middle of Royal Rumble there was an actual rap song by someone I'd never heard, Bad Bunny performs in Royal Rumble. That's what I thought of, man. I had no idea who Bad Bunny was, and I wasn't gonna. I mean, he wasn't at this. Obviously, no one was there. But if he had just showed up and I'd been like, I don't know Bad Bunny, I wouldn't have just booed him or fucking fell asleep. I'd been like, way to go, you're here. You know what I mean? Like, you cheer for the people because you're for a show and you drop so much fucking money. By God, I'm going to have a good time one way or another. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm just mad. I'm just mad. Pick up our Pointless Aggression t-shirts. pwts.com/wrestlingrocks. I mean, and even then, these matches were mediocre. Out of all the matches Carmella and Bianca have had that have been so fucking good, I don't know if it was just okay because the crowd gave them fucking nothing. Or if it was just like, I mean, part of me just feels like they just gave up partway through and said, fuck it, just do a few things and let's get the fuck out of here. They don't want us here anyways.
That's what I kind of assumed, you know.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And I feel like part of it too is that we literally saw them wrestle a match for the title last Friday as well.
And it was great.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have minded them rolling it through again just to be like, look it, we're putting our best on display for this crowd of people. That wouldn't have bothered me, except for the crowd of people collectively farted at it. And they said, fuck it, let's get out of here.
Right.
So, it's just a bummer, man. It was a bummer to see such good talent just get shit on that way. Maybe I'm just feeling like a big brother to the wrestlers. It's like, you don't do that. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that rant. I went on a tirade there. Speaking of tirades, we did have Edge cutting a promo, Seth Rollins coming out. Dude, I saw a lot of people shitting on this. I watched it twice. I have no problems with what went on here. I loved all of it. What did you think of it?
I loved it. I mean, Seth and Edge, they're always going to produce something really cool. I'm really invested in this story. I was really hoping that when Edge came back in the Royal Rumble 2020 that they'd get to this. Just like the first thing I thought of because of everything that happened back in 2014 where Seth was like, oh, I'm going to break his neck anyways, you know.
Can you break that down for people? Because the thing I do think is a little that sucks is, for one, I wasn't watching actively at that point, and they have not gone back to actually say what it was. They just keep alluding to it. Do you want to break down what happened real quick?
Yeah, so in the build-up to, or actually it was in the build-up after Survivor Series 2014, the Team Authority versus Team Cena, Seth Rollins was still there, Mr. Money in the Bank, but the Authority had been let go, and there was like an Edge and Christian spot where they interviewed Seth, and Rollins put down his briefcase and then put Edge's neck down onto the briefcase and was like, I'm going to curb stomp him to Cena. He was like, I'm going to curb stomp him unless you reinstate the Authority, because that was sort of the shtick they were going. So Cena did it, and Rollins went, you should know me better than that, John. I'm going to kill him anyways. And then he went for the curb stomp, and obviously they wouldn't let Edge take any sort of bump at that time, so Cena intervened right away. But that was like where this all stemmed from.
Holy shit, dude. That is so fucking good.
It was so good. That was the peak of Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins, for me.
That is evil as shit, and that makes this thing so fucking good. In fact, Edge keeps saying you should have finished me off. You think I forgot about that? Like, oh, fucking good, man. That just retroactively gave me the old chills. That was so good. All right, cool. Well, I love this, man. I love Seth Rollins in a stupid suit. I love the way that he maniacally laughs. I love his fucking stupid little attitude. I don't have any problems with this, and I've seen people shitting on it being like, oh, Seth shit in the bed again. And I was like, for where? Like, this was an awesome promo. You know, like, he's got that stupid... I saw people complain about his laugh. His laugh is so forced. Yes! It's an evil laugh. All evil laughs are forced.
Wasn't this the same fan base who, like, when he started laughing like that again, they were like, yes, the laugh is back.
Right? When he stopped laughing like that, did you think that it wasn't forced at any point? Like, did you go back and say, wait a second, did he do that on purpose?
Wait a minute, this wrestler's playing a character.
Literally, Dr. Evil, the whole shtick is the maniacal laugh. You know, ha 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 ha. I mean, even fucking Muppets from the fucking, which Muppet movie was it? I think the Muppets. They did a whole skit where a character couldn't laugh. It was his issue. That's why he hated the Muppets. And he would just say, maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Because that's the joke about evil people. They just have this forced maniacal laughter.
I'm pretty sure that's how Danhausen really speaks.
This wicked fucked up.
But I mean, even like Ted DiBiase, that was like part of his whole shtick, was the evil laugh.
Did you not think that laugh was for? It's just stupid, man. They're just dumb. They're dumb people. This was awesome. I love it. I love the idea of getting Rollins and Edge. The idea that the match is going to happen. I bet you Seth's. I bet you as soon as that showed up, Seth was in the office being like, "We've got to fucking get a program where I wrestle that guy." Mm-hmm. You know. Let me see here. Why do I feel like there's missing some shit here? There's some Big E stuff. What's going on in there?
In the YouTube chat, Titantron saying, perhaps a hot take. This is the best work of Rollins' career. I feel like he's just taken his last few gimmicks, meshed them all together, and took acid, and he's been absolutely brilliant. Maniacal laugh, Muppets in Space was excellent.
Yep.
I will have to respectfully disagree because I personally feel like I am still a bit confused on where the gimmick is supposed to be with Rollins. I think, I really loved the Monday Night Messiah stuff when it was very, very based in that. and it just sort of feels like we're back at evil Rollins again to me. But I'm glad that other people feel that it's great. I'm glad other people are enjoying wrestling. It's always good to hear.
Yeah. I loved the Messiah so much. The Embrace the Vision stuff I was into. I mean, I guess it's hard to say. I think maybe it's some of the most fun I've had with Seth. Ever since when he won Universal title, I remember being at Rumble 2019 when he won. And I remember talking to some serious fans as well, because we all spent way too much money or we wouldn't have been hanging out together. And they said, well, it's going to be Seth for sure. And I was like, wait, why does it have to be Seth? And I said, well, literally, who else would beat Brock Lesnar? And I was all like, and he's like, see? And I was like, well, honestly, I'd rather see Dean Ambrose do it. That's what I said at the time. I was like, they could really lean in him being a badass now, the way that he's like big. And then Seth won, and I was all like, oh, that kind of sucks that it's just like Seth by default. And then all of his promos as a babyface, I was like, this is awful. He's like so corny, he doesn't know what to say.
I really didn't like that version of Seth Rollins. I did not.
I know.
I wasn't a big fan of that face turn.
I think his current character, it was really easy to understand when you saw him next to Bailey, because then both their evil laughs and their just obnoxious ways, I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I don't know, I kind of got it.
They were so good on screen together, the two of them.
I love that Ding Dong Hello segment. I saw a lot of people bashing it when it happened, but that was like my favorite thing that happened on that SmackDown.
Yeah, it was incredible. So funny. Yeah. I think, like, so I hear you. I think I would agree with both of you, because I would agree that there's no wrong answer there when you try to figure out what is the best iteration of Seth Rollins' career. I think he performs at such a high level, it's hard to pinpoint anything other than your personal experience of it. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
I think the one thing we can all agree on is him as Universal Champion was garbage. Which was so sad. Dude, we were on here, I believe it was episode 1. We were talking about how upset we were that we weren't cheering for Seth. I was like, he's our guy. He's literally one of us. He's literally been a lifelong wrestling fan, and he's clearly, obviously, obsessively passionate about wrestling on a level that most people aren't even. It's like, he is the version of us we all wish we were. And yet, he has found a way to not connect with the fans, and that is awful. Like, it sucked so bad. I was so torn, because I was like, I hate this version of him, and I hate that I hate it. Because we absolutely, as a fan base, should be cheering for Seth Rollins so hard all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Titantron.
No, sorry, you go ahead.
Titantron's agreeing with you guys. Absolutely. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. That Universal title reign was so bad. I don't know. That's just what I think he sounds like.
He probably is British. Go ahead, Derek. D-Rec.
Well, like, yeah, because, like, that Universal title reign, they very much, like, I feel like if they had different opponents for him, it would have been differently. But in 2019, I felt like Corbin had lost the sort of mystique he had, at least coming in, and it was just sort of Corbin at that point. And I feel like it really wasn't a great first villain for Rollins' Universal title reign as a babyface.
Maybe that's what it was. That could be. Just didn't connect. And I felt bad. You see that documentary they did with him backstage where he's like crying about it because he's like, I just don't know why they won't cheer for me.
Right.
Like, it's fucking heartbreaking and stuff.
That was a bummer.
Because, I mean, it sucked. And when I saw that too, I was like, fuck, see, that's the problem is, like, I want to cheer so bad. And he just came off so disingenuous when he was literally being genuine. It was so weird, man. It was
force it.
I don't know that it was. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, he felt like he was forcing it, but when
us, we can't force.
Oh yeah, we can't force ourselves to feel that way. And he seemed like he was, when you like saw interviews of him backstage, that he was being as honestly genuine as he's ever been in his career. And we all just were rejecting it, and it felt like so shitty because it's like, dude, I want to cheer you so bad. And somehow, when you say the honest thing, it comes off so distant. Maybe because he's been playing the characters for so long, he struggles to be vulnerable enough to be that honest or genuine. Maybe is what it was. He was trying to protect himself too much.
I also think it's part of that we've seen him as, you know, the heel Seth Rollins for so long. Even when he came back and probably shouldn't have been a heel and still was, that was the Seth Rollins we knew. So then seeing like actual Seth Rollins, babyface Seth Rollins, was a big shift for the fans. That probably played into it a little bit too.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Got a little chatter in the chat here. That's where the chat goes, the chatter spatter. What's up? Splinter Fox coming through. Ding dong. Hello, Splinter Fox. Roadkill VT says, my very real hatred for Corbin's character lives on forever. None more hated, Baron Corbin. All right, let's go through this. We did miss the Big E thing. Big E cut a promo that was interrupted by Apollo Crews, and then it was interrupted by Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Then it was interrupted by Rick Boogs. Then it was interrupted by Shinsuke. Then it was interrupted by Cesaro. This felt also to me like, hey, nobody knows who anybody is, so let's get everybody out there real quick. Like, This felt like another refresher course for the audience who they think has not been watching that is now watching.
I've never been a big fan of the, like, there's a promo segment and then, like, a bunch more people come out to interrupt in the middle of it. And, like, yeah, it's a very random feeling group of people, because the only people who have really been, like, involved with each other out of all those group of people have been Apollo and Big E. And then just sort of Shinsuke's also there all of a sudden, and Roode and Ziggler are already there, and Boogs is there. Just very weird.
I didn't like it. It was messy, man. It was super messy for me. And they're all great. Like that's such a strong mid card. They're all awesome. I just was like, I don't fucking know what's going on here. Like, it was just a mess. It just was really messy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Splinter Fox is asking direct question to us, Derek, because he just showed up, so he didn't hear us talk a little bit about this before, or apparently our previous episode ones. He goes, so how is the WWE product now that the fans are in the stands? What do you think about the difference with the fans?
I think the fans make a difference for sure. And I think that the shows where the booking sort of lines up with how the fans feel have been great with the fans. And I think that first Raw back with the fans felt refreshing.
SmackDown
has been great with the fans. SmackDown is, like, the fans being back have been great for SmackDown.
That first SmackDown back with fans felt like WrestleMania to me, dude. I was like, my heart was racing watching it. It was so good.
It was so wild. Hearing all of those pops, the Edge pop at the beginning of that was legitimately crazy. Like, I lost it. I was almost like part of that from my house in Vermont. Like,
that's what I mean. I felt like my heart was racing, like as though I was in the stands. I was like, the electricity is insane right now. I do think that the one thing that they're getting caught up on, and they're starting to, we talked about it a little bit before, is they are reviewing a bit too much. So I think they're like stuttering their own steam on that one. But other than that, yeah, I think it's been awesome with fans back. Roadkill does say, kind of sad that Cesaro is vying for the IC title now after a singles loss to Roman. I'm not bothered by that. It says, but also Cesaro for a singles title makes me happy. Yeah, that's kind of where I feel about it, just in general. Spinner Fox does say GCW last weekend was amazing. We actually opened the show talking all about it, so go back and listen to it when we drop on podcast in the morning. And then I'm wearing my Matt Cardona shirt now. GCW, face of the GCW Universe. And then Splinter Fox says GCW reminds me of ECW in the present, yeah. And Roadkill says, I mean, it's definitely what they're going for, so it should. It says, or the first AEW with full capacity fans. Oh boy, that was good. You know what was weird is I think that I felt like I took that like a pill. When I first saw the AEW show with all the fans back, I felt so weird. And it wasn't like they shouldn't be doing this. It was all like I forgot what fans were like in crowds. So I felt awkward the whole show, and it's nothing to do with them. I'm sure if I go back and watch it now, I'll be like, yeah, this is sick. But that it was like I had to retrain myself to what audience interaction was like. Everything felt so weird, and that was weird for me. You know what I mean? So I felt like it was really cool for me to watch the AEW shows with the fans those couple weeks before, and then the SmackDown hit, and I was like over that part because I'd gotten used to it with the AEW crowds, and then the SmackDown was just like fucking mania, dude. It was huge.
Cool.
Do you watch AEW, D-Rec?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I enjoy AEW quite a bit.
All right,
Personally.
we'll leave that there then. Let's see. No, there's that. Then there's just a couple more segments. We're going to move on to Raw right now. But Toni Storm defeated Zelina Vega via pinfall after hitting that Storm one, which looked sick.
So cool. Such a cool move. Love
And
it.
especially for as long as Marsh has been so pissed that Toni Storm is taking all these losses, it's really cool to finally see her just kicking ass like we knew she should.
It was funny. So when she came into NXT proper and not NXT UK, I was all like, why is she even stopping here? She should be on the main roster. Like, she should be on SmackDown or Raw. Like, I wanted her on SmackDown because that's my favorite show, but I was like, what is she doing here? She's a huge star. Like, she's just got so much star power, so much charisma. She's so good in the ring. And then she was like basically training all these people in NXT and taking all these losses. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? So the fact that she's on main roster now, on SmackDown proper, and taking wins, I'm so fucking thrilled. She's like, to me, such a superstar.
And I think SmackDown needs it too. I think SmackDown's women's divisions needed a bit of a shot in the arm, and I think with Tony coming in and Liv's push, that they're actually getting that shot in the arm they've needed for a little bit.
I also think that with Zelina's promos, I know Zelina's only taken losses since she's been back, which is kind of interesting, but her promos are still so strong that you care.
Right.
You know? So it's like, and plus she's so undersized, and we haven't seen her wrestle as much, so it's believable that she might be struggling to get the wins. But it's also going to be believable when that heel bitch Zelina starts cheating like crazy to start getting those wins now. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Zelina Vega is going to be the Nick Gage of the women's division.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, she's going to bring out light tubes for sure.
I would love a death match between like Zelina Vega and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see, the chat blew up a little bit. Splinter Fox comes in here to derail the show. If you guys want to derail the show, twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks, you can derail the show.
Always a hater. That's why I can't see him in the chat anymore.
Yeah.
Ah!
Splinter Fox hates this show, and he loves to hang out. That's the whole mantra of the dive bar of the IWC.
Yeah, but he loves to hate the people that we love, so.
Yeah. No, that's what he does. Yeah. That's what it is. That's why it's the dive bar. You go in there, you have a few drinks with your friends, you talk mad shit and try to get your friends riled up, then you giggle about it, and you go back and do it again the next week. That's how bars work.
Yeah.
Are you old enough to be in a bar?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm drinking a Truly, so I'd hope so. Yeah, I'm 21.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
We don't want to out you on air. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, on the record? Of course. Spitter Fox does say the fans of GCW can be any company's fans. They are a small crowd, but damn, they are so much on fire. Yeah, they love it. And their passion shows. Roadkill says it made me feel so good. Just waiting till Canada opens up so I can go see a WWE or AEW show. Do you think AEW is not even going on the West Coast? So you're gonna need to fly down for that. So then Roadkill says Raw is still borderline unwatchable. I disagree, but that's probably because I watch it and you don't. But Spinner Fox does say, always talking shit about AEW. Deep down inside, I think Marsh is a true fan of AEW. I mean, why would you keep talking about it if you don't like it? Just saying, usually when you don't like something, you don't talk about it. Which is true. I don't talk about a lot of things I don't like because of that. I do desperately want AEW to be super successful. But I'm also here for the pettiness. I love pettiness.
I feel that.
And Spinner Fox says, I bet...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think AEW for me, like, I enjoy AEW mostly because, like, a lot of my favorite wrestlers are there. Like, I love Brian Cage is one of my favorites. Miro's one of my favorites. Even, like, since he joined AEW, Eddie Kingston's been one of my favorites. Mox. I think it's more of my favorites are there than, like, the storyline things themselves.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's sort of how I feel about, like, Impact. So many of my favorites are there. So I'm always rooting for Impact and saying they're doing good, but realistically, I have a hard time watching the show. I'm like, these stories are bad. But so many of my favorites are there.
Yeah.
MLW, I'm really excited. They just had their show back. Twin Fox does say, I bet Vega could swing a light bulb better than Ryder. I mean, yeah, no. Lightsaber duel. Just in Time does say, I didn't expect fans coming back to make Raw better, but it feels like even with the fans back, Raw has gotten worse and even more illogical. It's sad. I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like that Raw the past month has been a good show. Like, it hasn't been the best show on TV. It hasn't been the best wrestling show of the week, but it hasn't been bad. There were times I was watching Raw like this is a fucking chore. And this past couple weeks, it's like there's a lot of good segments happening in there. Then there's segments that are just trash, but then Drew McIntyre leaves and you move on.
I did not like Raw this past week, so that's a difference of opinion there. I think, well, we'll talk about it when we get to Raw.
Yeah, we're about to get there. And Spinner Fox says, that is good. She can't see me. I don't like Dunn fans. That's funny. Roadkill says, a WWE deathmatch would be more sad than the ending of the exploding barbed wire deathmatch. No, because if WWE did it, they would do it right. So they wouldn't pretend they're going to do it and not do it.
I feel like WWE would do it too much, right? They do it too much. Too much
so
pyro.
Funny. Yeah. Like that fucking Inferno match. That Thunderdome Inferno match was that was pretty much too much fire. There was just a lot of fucking fire there.
I'm worried they're going to try to use those AR graphics that they've been using to try to simulate that for televised fans and not actually do Inferno matches or anything with fire.
That'd be so good, dude. AI matches and everyone in the crowd's like, what? Roadkill's essay. I mean, I'm excited for the blow off of Elite and Dark Order. Oh, that's one of the segments I don't even watch when I tune in. So, and he goes, the only thing I like about Raw this week is Priest's victory over Sheamus. That was cool, but we're gonna talk about that. Let's see. The last two things that happened in SmackDown was Jimmy Uso defeated Dominic Mysterio. I did like all that stuff going in there. I didn't have any issues with the Uso Mysterio stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Usos run. I'm enjoying the Usos being back. The Usos were the best tag team in the world for a good span of time, and they haven't gotten worse. Just as that other teams have gotten better. But I think I preferred when the Usos stuck to the single stuff. I really enjoyed Jay's right-hand man run. And even when Jimmy was coming back and sort of opposing Roman a little bit, I enjoyed that too. But I feel like sometimes WWE doesn't know what to do with two guys who were once in a tag team being on the same brand. And I mean, they're brothers, so that's obviously something. But I would have liked to see them, at least for a little bit longer, keep the Usos separate.
I think that's possible. I mean, we don't know what we don't know. My gut tells me that they were squeezed back together pretty fast for Jimmy's sake.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think that Jay was doing some of the best work of his entire career as a solo. But I don't know. There's something super heartwarming to me about the Usos together. It just is. And maybe it's just because they've been together for so long and they're literal twin brothers and all that. I don't know. But I agree with you. It's always a struggle they have.
Mm-hmm.
You think they'll split them like they did during a draft, like they did New Day?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think the only issue now is I can feel Jay slipping through the cracks with the Uso tag team, and I'm not sure if they move Jay over to Raw or if they move Jimmy over to Raw. I'm not sure how well one of the Usos would do completely on their own.
Yeah, and I do think that with them getting the tag titles, because Roadkill does say here that I would have liked the Mysterios to hold the titles a little longer. I wouldn't have had any issue with that, but I thought that the giving the titles to the Usos I felt like was a shotgun effect also for Jimmy's sake, to keep all of the family together in a storyline, to keep everyone watching each other, Right. But I was expecting more Usos and Roman together, and since they've won the titles, they've been passing each other as they do stuff. Okay, you go out there and do that. Okay, I'll be on my own over here. They haven't been as together as I thought they were going to be as a dominant faction with the gold,
I wonder if they're doing that on purpose in storyline because they're trying to highlight how much Roman's attention is being taken away from his family with Cena and even the Balor promo later on.
Oh, that could be. That'd be good.
In our chat, the YouTube, Titantron was saying loved Raw last week. This week kind of brought WWE back down to earth after the crazy week we had last week. And Bishop is saying that Jay looks so polished in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Jay's fucking intensely good. Spinner Fox does say, I hope they bring Naomi into the bloodline and become full heel and take the SmackDown women's title and have all the gold. Then have Bayley come back and dethrone her for the title. I think Bayley should come back and take the title off Roman, too.
I think Bayley should win all the titles from Kenny, even.
Yeah, take him from Kenny first and then come over and start with the tag titles and work her way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I want to see a picture of Bayley draped in every single belt in the entire company. And other people's company, too. Like Ultimo Dragon style. Yeah. They did have that closing segment. Roman comes out, says that John Cena's like fucking every night, but only in one position. And then he smirked, which I thought was funny. I like the way that he said it, and then he was all like, dude, I totally just said that. Like, he basically was being Beavis and Butthead in that moment, where he's like, it's like missionary every night, and then he's like, meh. And then, let's see, I thought the promo was fucking dope. He says, no, I'm not fucking around with John Cena. And then Finn Balor comes out and says, did you see my balls earlier? And Roman said, I smelt them. And he's like, challenge accepted. You know? Roman likes cocoa nuts. What? This felt big, dude. Not just balls big, but just in general, like, Balor versus Roman felt like this should be a headline match. I don't know when we're going to get it. I don't know if that means we're going to get them at SummerSlam or some sort of triple threat at SummerSlam. But Roman Balor one-on-one right now feels like a pretty fucking big deal to me. Like, I was, like, losing my shit.
I agree. I think whenever they do have their, like, matchup, I think it should be at, like, a big 5 pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the story going into it sort of with the last time they met, it was right after the draft and Roman lost and then Finn won, but then completely lost his title and his prestige while Roman continued to rise to the top. I think that's a story that WWE, especially with their storytelling, can do super well. I think that's a story WWE themselves would flourish in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just think that there's part of them that's going big right now on the TV shows to get that viewership in and locked in.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me thinks, with as much as I agree that it should be the main event of like a Mania, we might get it on a SmackDown. Just to get people watching.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I don't know. I'll be kind of bummed if it's just on SmackDown and then Balor loses. This match, however it goes, it should end in some Tom fucking foolery.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I don't think Finn should lose clean to Roman when he loses to Roman. I think they need to
be DQ.
Yeah, I think they need to protect Finn right now. I think a lot. I think Finn needs to be winning. Finn needs to be cutting promos where he shows off what he did in NXT to the casual audience. Mm-hmm. I think they need to get Finn back up to where he was before SummerSlam 2016.
Yeah.
Bishop's in the chat saying same. I was in disbelief that the new NXT Prince vibe had gravity in front of Roman, but I felt it too.
Yeah. That vibe that Balor had when he just looks at him and goes, "Oh, you're not going to go for Cena." What?
He doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, he does. And he's all like, "Well, what about if I challenge ye?" You know?
Yeah.
And Roman's all like, "I know you have big balls, literally, from before earlier in the night when they came out." And I'm going to accept that challenge. It was so dope. Yeah, he felt like a big deal. It was dope. Because even before, remember last time when Roman was the Universal title holder and he's like, I need a contender, open challenge because I'm a good guy. And Balor comes out and he goes, oh, I broke my arm. And then he's like, oh, I never got me match back, you know? And so they gave him his match. It was like a different vibe. It wasn't like, oh, this is intense. It was all like, oh, Balor's going to get his rematch to lose, I guess. Like, that's what it felt like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that was a fault of Balor's past main roster character of smiling. But I think Balor now can do so much.
Yeah. I think so, too. And I think he's just got that presence now. Thunderbox does say, you know, Balor's going to lose, might even beat down Kofi style. Like Lashley Kofi or Brock Kofi? Which beatdown are we talking about? That dude's taking a few beatings.
I'd rather Brock Kofi than Lashley Kofi.
Yeah, that was rough to watch, man. That felt bad.
Yeah, that was a burial. Like Lesnar Kofi was like, they did Kofi dirty, and then like Lashley Kofi felt like, oh, Lashley is murdering Kofi Kingston in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it was we were collectively as an audience that Simpsons gif where he's like, stop, he's already dead. Yeah. That's just eerily quiet as people are just walking. People aren't even booing; they're just sad. They're just like, "Oh God!" He just wants to stop.
Come on, man!
Yeah. Stop the damn match. He's got a family. Justin Time says, "I hope Finn never reverts back to smiley underwear model Balor. He will never not model underwear." Firstly. Secondly, we'll see what happens, man. I don't think so. I liked when as soon as he came out to SmackDown and it had the Prince stuff in the back, and I think even Pat McAfee called him the Prince. I was like, fuck yes. Like, let's do it.
I'm surprised they kept all the Prince stuff with a King on the same show. But like something WWE would have been like, oh, let's try not to mix this together. Sort of deal.
Oh. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, at least the Queen's on a different show.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's true.
You know, royalty plays a big role in the show for a show that just continues to not do King of the Ring.
Yeah, you know, I love King of the Ring. It's like whenever it happens, I'm like always get super pumped for it. And like, if they keep doing it the way they did it in 2019, where it really pushed Gable a lot, I mean,
yes,
the aftermath was awful, but the actual pushing of Gable in the King of the Ring tournament was so cool. If they just keep using the tournament like that, then they should do it every year.
Yeah, 100%. We need more shorty G's, you know?
Well, that's not what I said.
That's kind of what
shorty
you were going for. Yeah. Spinner Fox does say, if Lashley and Roman face each other at Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown, I'll be watching a pay-per-view since WrestleMania. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Let's see. Let's talk about Raw, dude. Let's just go to Raw. Because that shit was dope. I just hope that they put that on a pay-per-view, but I think we might get it on SmackDown. If they do it on SmackDown, I want tomfoolery for sure. Cool. But Raw opened up with Nikki ASH, almost a superhero, only to be interrupted by not almost, but definitely all the way a bitch, Charlotte Flair. What? Then also comes out Rhea Ripley, where Charlotte and Rhea talk about Nikki like she's not even there. Nikki says, you guys are being total bitches, and they're both like, nuh-uh. Dude, this fuck... Like, Nikki talking to the crowd was dope. I thought she was doing such a good job. Like you said, a lot of people being like, I'm not making the connection. I don't get it with the Nikki Ash character. But she's cutting these promos over and over again to really lay it on thick of the whole backbone of this character. And it's something to get behind. And she's passionately about it. And it's awesome. And the crowd was behind it. And then Charlotte came out and just like vomited all over the mic forever. For fucking ever.
I feel like they're not giving Charlotte scripts, and therefore she's just going on, and you're just using a lot of words without much of a message.
Yeah. She talked for fucking ever and said absolutely nothing of value. Rhea comes out, talked a little bit, and took negative value out of there. I was like, I don't even know what's happening now. Sonya and Adam Pearce come out and they say, this is all really good points. And I'm like, what the fuck were you listening to? And then he goes, we'll do a triple threat. And then Charlotte's like, let me finish. I was like, what did you have left to say? And then she gets a fucking match. Man, I don't know. As much as I liked all the Nikki ASH stuff, I could have done a lot without the fucking everything else around it. And even the idea of a triple threat is not something I'm really interested in seeing.
It's crazy how much Charlotte changes and stays the same at the same time.
Yes.
It's crazy how
Yes.
Charlotte is she always just feels like, oh, it's Charlotte. But then, like, if you actually look at the character, I guess they're kind of changing it up. Like, there's nice Charlotte and there's mean Charlotte. And you can just get either of them at any time.
Yeah, and they're both equally delusional.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it literally, I still wasn't sure until this week's Raw if Charlotte was supposed to be a face or a heel.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that for sure.
Keep trying to call herself the Opportunity, which no one else is calling her that.
It's only happened in like 2 promos that she's cut and no one else has ever used it, even on commentary. And so when she just out of nowhere, after not saying it for like 3 weeks, will just suddenly be like, that's why everyone calls me the Opportunity. No one has said that for 3 weeks since the last time you said that people say that.
Stop trying to make the Opportunity a thing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. It's not a thing, Charlotte. Spinner Fox does say the Raw Women's Division is not good. When is Becky coming back or move some NXT talent to Raw like Gonzalez and Hartwell? Really? It says,
I think
seen
the
Hartwell.
Raw Women's I'm sorry.
He said Hartwell's been doing dark matches. Also, Xia Li was doing dark matches and Aaliyah as well. Go ahead.
I think the Raw Women's Division is I think it's good. I just think the booking around it is not that great right now. I think
Yes,
the division itself has a lot of great people who could be doing great things. The booking is just, lackluster around that.
Yeah, it's directionless. When you have people as good as... I mean, if you look at their women's roster, it's pretty stacked, pretty good. Like, it's not bad. You've got... Isn't Naomi over there? Yeah, Naomi was there. Asuka, Rhea Ripley, Nikki Cross. I just spaced on a few of them. I had a couple more names in my head ready to go, and now they're gone. Natty, Tamina are on both. Eva Marie and Doudrop are doing great work, whether you like it or not. Alexa Bliss is on fire with what she's up to. Like, they have it. It's just that there's no cohesiveness to the title and the stories that revolve around the title. I feel like the title is booked so terribly, it makes you think the division is bad. But when you scope away from the title and you realize, hey, everything that doesn't involve Charlotte is building characters and building gravitas behind those characters and building that boo or cheer that they're going for, it's only the Charlotte stuff that's always a mess. And unfortunately, she's just always with the title, and it's a fucking mess.
I agree. Charlotte, it's always a mess. It's always a mess.
Yeah. Spinfox says Naomi was traded to SmackDown. I thought she got traded back. She was in a tag team with Asuka recently. Yeah. After Lana.
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe she's back at SmackDown. But I don't know. I feel like we saw her recently. She wrestled somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, she was at Money in the Bank, right? She was in the match.
Yeah.
Oh. It was Money in the Bank.
Yeah, she did good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think that the title's booked so terribly it diminishes the division, where I think that like SmackDown, the title is booked well enough and everything else is happening so good that it's just like everything feels so much better and elevated. I really think that Charlotte's involvement in the division at this point is such a draw away from it. It just distracts from the stories, and it's a bummer to watch. I know everyone says that they're her favorite and all that, and I get it, and she's a really nice person. I've met her in person, and she was so cool. And I walked away from there being like, shit, I think I'm a Charlotte Flair fan now. She's awesome. but everything that she's a part of in these just doesn't seem to be helping anybody else. It's not serving anybody else or the title, and it's just kind of a mess. And I think they just need maybe redirection. I think it'd be nice to get like a break from her, so when she comes back, it's exciting. But the longest break we've ever had was like 3 months, and it wasn't much of anything. And then she won a title the day she's back, and it just kind of deflated that whole like, oh yeah, Charlotte's just here to do the thing.
Right.
Spinner Fox does say, moving along, Naomi has been traded from Raw to SmackDown, sparking rumors that she is about to align herself with Roman and the Usos. Naomi has reportedly been traded to SmackDown, making her appearance on Sunday's ladder match, her last for Raw for the time being. Take it for what it's worth. I feel this is to help her husband. I feel like all that stuff is stuff that I don't know anything about, so that's fine. Go to the WWE roster page and see which one she's on, see if they moved her to SmackDown. But until she shows up on SmackDown, it's sort of irrelevant. But I think SmackDown's a good place for her. She's always done well on SmackDown.
Yeah. I hope she does join the Bloodline, because I think that Naomi is really good in the ring. I think that would be the shot in the arm her character needs to really succeed.
Yeah, 100%. I think being around that caliber, I think she would float. I think she wouldn't sink under that pressure. She's such a good talker and so natural and so genuine. She's another one who is hard to convince me that she's scripted, because no matter what she says, she puts herself in it. So I think she'd be perfect for the Bloodline for sure. Damian Priest beat Sheamus for the... Oh, wait. It wasn't for the U.S. title. It was just a match. But they knocked off Sheamus's mask, and he was screaming, I think he really broke my nose. He fucking asked for medical and stuff. This match was pretty fucking good, dude. And I like Damian Priest getting this win. I thought, as soon as I saw Damian Priest helping out Humberto, I was like, oh, we're going to get to a point where Damian Priest wins the U.S. title, and that's a really good spot for him, I think.
I loved this match. I think Sheamus in ring is in the best run of his career right now. I think Sheamus is almost every week delivering the best match on Raw, if not Sheamus, then Riddle. And I think Sheamus, it's sad because I want Priest to win the title from Sheamus, and I think Priest is gonna win the title from Sheamus. I just want Sheamus to always be wrestling sub match with another really good wrestler on Raw every week.
I do feel like Sheamus could be the new gatekeeper for the main roster type of a deal. He should be everyone's first feud, but you got to be careful with it because he's so legit and such a badass. Like, that when you're watching the matches and you're seeing everyone get welted and the fucking blows, and you're like, fuck. It's really easy to be like, Sheamus is a fucking badass. But if he were to lose a lot, it'd be like, yeah, he's a badass. You just can't get it done. So I think you got to be careful with it. But he does seem so good that I do think that he should be involved in a lot of people's early matches to get them up to par, you know?
I think Sheamus is great at originally having something that might seem a little silly, but then it like works out in the end. Like I think at first the mohawk and the new beard was silly when he returned that time, but then it stuck. And I think the same thing about that like brown coat that he wears to the ring now. Like when I first saw that, I thought it was a little silly. I thought it was literally just a thing they were doing for the Jeff Hardy bar fight like feud. But then when he kept doing it, I was like, oh, this is just Sheamus now. And I actually like it. It's really cool.
Yeah. Peaky Blinder Sheamus, I fucking love it. I got to meet him once and I told him that. And I got the impression it was his idea because he was really happy that I liked it.
Love that.
So good, dude. Let's see. We'll run through this a little bit because I guess now I'm looking at it, there were a lot of segments here that were kind of like, what the fuck are they doing? Like the Raw Tag Team Championship. Omos and AJ versus the Viking Raiders. I mean, I don't know the problem with the Viking Raiders. What were you going to say about it?
Just that. It was a match. It happened.
Yeah. It didn't... It felt pretty close to static.
It felt
I would have rather see the Viking Raiders get a good win over a different tag team and build themselves towards a title match or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, reestablish the Viking Raiders as badasses would be nice.
Yeah. Give them a reason to be fighting for the titles again after fighting for them already. Was it last Monday or was that the pay-per-view? Can't remember.
Which one? The last time they had the match?
The last time they had a title match.
I think it was the pay-per-view. Yeah, so they just
Yeah.
did it again.
Yeah, they just did it again without reestablishing why they get another title match after losing one originally.
Yeah, I'd like to see them just steamroll some people, have some tough matches. Jeremy does say, I'm not a fan of these new insert name here contenders matches shtick that WWE's doing now. Number one contender matches have turned into this weird gimmick where they put people against the champion, and if they win, they get another match for the title. It makes sense logically, but personally, I'm not a fan. That's something Kevlar's always said. He's always hated a non-title match against the champion where the non-champion wins, because he's like, well, then they should just have the title, because the whole point of the championship thing is that, you know, any given match could go either way.
Right.
But unless the person who wins by cheating, which I think is the right way to do that if you're going to, then you have some grounds to be like, oh, well, he wouldn't have won if not for, you know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, well, let's put the title on the line, make it a bit high stakes match, and then we'll see, you know? Or if the person who lost, if the title holder lost for something that was almost like dumb, and the person was like, yeah, I just didn't care because my title wasn't on the line, and I'm not going to hurt myself if I'm not fighting for my title. And then they go, okay, well, in that case, it is going to be for the title next time. You know what I mean? Like, make it more story on why the person lost instead of just a regular match with a regular loss.
I like those more when they're very clearly set up as a champion versus underdog thing, like how AEW does them with Kenny. I like how they do those with those, because it seems like because going in, it always seems like, oh, Kenny's not losing this match. So then the story of the match becomes, can the underdog actually pull it off? And then I think that works well, usually because the champ still wins anyways. But like, just like Priest versus Sheamus, like, just have Priest beat someone else to become the number one contender. I promise someone can take the loss to Priest.
Yeah, if you put him in some sort of, like, if you had Humberto like fighting for another match and Damian Priest saying like, hey man, it's like, you've had your shot, and Humberto's like, who the fuck are you, dude? Like, you don't just come in here and tell me I can't have another shot. Like, do it like have it a thing where it's in front of Sonya and Adam. You know, Humberto would be like, I just need another shot. And they're like, dude, we've given you like a dozen shots. And Damian Priest in there goes, yeah, man, you've played it out. Maybe just take a seat and let someone else go. And he's like, fuck you, dude. You can't tell me to you don't tell me to sit to the side. And then be like, hey, how about you guys have a match and whoever wins will get that title shot.
Right.
Yeah. Boom. Now you have a story where it makes sense.
And then if the person who wins that match wins the title, you have a title feud right there already still. You can revisit that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Instead of just doing a dozen matches and then having this match and no connection, for sure you could have made it into a story of any kind. So, yeah. There was that. And then with the Raw Tag Team Championships, kind of a similar. Spinner Fox does say, watch Punishment Martinez versus Jay White for the IWGP US title from 2018 War of the Worlds. That match was amazing. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Yeah, for sure. We did a couple watch-alongs like 2 weeks back for some indie matches and stuff. We did Orange Cassidy and Kylie Ray, and we did Ricky Starks and Isaiah Swerve Scott when he was Shane Strickland. And we also did CM Punk and Cena. So if Spinner Fox, I thought you might get a kick out of the watch along me and Amanda did for that one. Just want to let you know. But then we had Drew McIntyre against Veer and got a disqualification. I mean, this whole Drew McIntyre thing, I'm glad he's down to one segment a show. But I don't understand how I'm supposed to cheer for Drew during any of this. He's coming off like a total asshole every time.
He had no reason to hit Shanky 34 times with a chair. Like, in and out of kayfabe, honestly. Like, there was no reason for that.
Yeah. It made me like him less as a general person and not just a character.
Yeah.
And then especially when they show all the pictures of it.
Yeah. It's hard for me because I'm like an ironic and unironic at the same time Jinder fan. So, like, him being in the feud with Jinder is not helping my likability of Drew McIntyre much.
Dude, for sure. I'm a Jinder fan. I wasn't for a while, but then I met the guy like 3 times, and I was like, he's actually so fucking cool. I was like, I am so behind Jinder. So yeah, and even then, I don't get any of the shit they're doing with Drew, which was lame. Natty and Tamina against Doudrop, Eva Marie. This was an interesting one. Natty got hurt. She rolled her ankle or some shit.
I hope it's not too serious to where they have to vacate the titles, because I don't know what direction that titles are going to go in. Like, you could throw it on Nox and Shotzi, but like in terms of an actual direction for the titles, like it's just going to be the same old on a new team.
Yeah, and I'd be really bummed out if they just threw them back on Shayna and Nia, because I want them to not be a team. And at least luckily this week, I don't remember seeing them. If they were there, I didn't see it.
Yeah, they've been teasing this breakup for like several months now.
Yeah.
But they've been like half teasing it.
They don't like each other, but they're trying to be friends. It's weird.
Right. That was great at the beginning when they were thrown together like by management and they had to figure out how to work together. But at some point they gotta just start being best friends like the Bar did.
Mm-hmm. Just looking over some stuff. Jeremy says in the chat, I was really confused why Veer got DQ'd. He brings in a chair and Drew claymores it into his face, but Veer gets the DQ. Even though Big Show has punched chairs into people's face for 20 years and never got disqualified. As I'm looking at the results here written down, that's exactly what I'm seeing here. Mahal slid a chair to Veer, which McIntyre drove into Veer's face with a claymore, somehow making a disqualification for McIntyre. It's a really good point, dude. They're doing so much to protect Drew that it doesn't make sense, and it's easy for Jinder to say, why the fuck did that happen? He hit this guy with a chair. Drew's a heel, dude. He's a super heel. I like all the stuff going on with Eva Marie and Doudrop. I think it's fantastic. Crowds are booing Eva Marie like crazy. They're super behind Doudrop. I liked the Lily Lucian video. It cracked me up. Did you not like this stuff? Are you not into the Alexa stuff?
I loved Lily Lucian. I thought that was hilarious. That's the type of stuff I love in wrestling.
They got a Lily Lucian t-shirt out now, too.
I would wear one around everywhere. A Lily Lucian t-shirt.
Yeah, it's like the clip with it's almost like a screen grab from when she was like coming out of the limo with the red lights and it says Lily Lucian on it, like, and it's the Lily doll. It's so good. I saw someone tweeted out a response to the shop advertisement for it. They said, "Who made this?" And Alexa Bliss retweeted it and just put "Lily did." Period. So fucking funny.
That's so good.
I liked all this. I'll tell you this: that fucking zipper on Eva Marie's shirt fucking got its dollar's worth for sure. She took some sort of bump and the zipper like popped and the back of her shirt blew out, but it was being held together at the very top by a little bit of the zipper. Yeah. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, she takes one more bump, that whole shirt's coming off. And she took like 2 more bumps and it didn't. And every time it did, me and producer were both like, oh God. And then she gets that roll up. She does gets that little victory. And then or she takes the loss, and then she like rolled out right away, and that was that. But I was like, oh my God, this thing's like about to break.
Right.
This is not a terrible wrestling take. Let's see. So I liked all that. Let's see. Bobby Lashley had a match against Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, and just beat the shit out of both of them.
Yeah. He sure. I didn't like that. I'll be honest. I feel like anytime they need Lashley to be dominant, they just sort of go back to him beating on Cedric and Shelton, and they both just deserve so much more.
Yeah.
Than being the guys who lose to Lashley when they need Lashley to be dominant.
And I couldn't get my head around why would they be teaming together when they were being such dicks to each other recently. You know what I mean?
It was weird because it was like they both came out and then cut a promo on Lashley, and they both individually challenged Lashley to a match, and then Lashley was like, "I'll fight both of them at the same time." But I don't know why that made it a 2-on-1 handicap match and not a triple threat.
That's a good point. I don't know, man. It was weird. I really do like Bobby looking super fucking dominant, but there is like a line of sense that I was like, are they just trying to? Because I feel like this week more than the week before felt really training wheels. In case you missed it previously on WWE TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this feels like that too. Like, no, trust us, he's dominant. He beat up his buddies before.
Right.
And then it's like, prove it. Well, here he'll do it again then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like when they were the Hurt Business, Shelton and Cedric were, they were actually, like, in kayfabe, they were doing well for themselves. They were being great wrestlers. They were winning matches. Yeah. And I don't know what in kayfabe would have changed between being in the Hurt Business and not, that essentially turned both of them into jobbers.
I mean, they jobbed to the world champion. They didn't take a fucking loss to Dawkins in a 2-on-1.
Well,
but
yes, but also like they're like outside of the Lashley thing, they're always in like the throwaway segment in the show. They're in that spot usually.
Yeah. Well, they have not been highlighted or showcased in a while, and they did return just to get their ass kicked by Lashley. But at least it's to Lashley.
Yeah. That's
but that
fair.
does mean that next week they should do something. They should definitely do something next week where they get a strong win over somebody notable.
Right.
Like Humberto
but
or
they
something.
Probably won't show up on Raw for another like month.
Yeah, they'll be gone for 2 more months.
Yeah.
Next time you see them, it's going to be for the 24/7 title. They're just going to be in the chase.
Oh, yeah. They're just going to be there. Not even like actually trying. They're just going to be running.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Let's see. I got my shit all out of order here, but we'll just go down this list here. Karrion Kross defeated Keith Lee via submission. Keith Lee tapped out. Keith Lee looked stronger in this match than he did during the Bobby match, but he still didn't look like Keith Lee the last couple times we saw him. When he first came out to Raw, he was in matches against Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, and then last week he came back to face Bobby Lashley and got his fucking ass handed to him like he'd never been in the ring before, like he'd walked in there accidentally. Right. And then this week he looked like he was gassed real fucking early. Like, it was weird. It's been weird.
It is. And I feel like part of it is the ring rust of he hasn't been around for quite some time. But also, like, it just feels... It feels unceremonious for someone the fans were super into.
And someone the company was super behind.
Right.
You know? Like, you can say all you want about that weird grass skirt and his awful music when he got there, but they made those changes, and they were putting him in main event matches, and he was in the world title picture right away. Like, they wanted people to believe in the guy. And now that he's back, they're just all like, nah, don't believe in him too hard. But I'll also say that a lot of the stories of people in the company have always been like, yep, 10 years later, it all turned around. And you're just like, I don't know how much of it is just patience at this point. I do know that before the show, Keith Lee tweeted something a little vague that was like, I've decided I'm just going to tell the story myself in like a couple days. And it's like, what? So yeah, I do know that whatever's going on that's kept him off TV, we know it's been personal. We know that Mia Yim's told people to shut the fuck up about it. And now we know that it's something that it's a story he wants to tell on his own, which is real weird.
I want to know so much what's going on. If anything more, just so that don't feel confused about it anymore.
Yeah.
Because like it's very easy to feel confused about the Keith Lee situation. And everything on Raw adds to that, you know? He's been gone for a while, and he comes back, and he's okay. Yeah. It's very interesting, and I hope whatever the story is, I hope it sort of sheds light to that.
Yeah, at least explains what the hell's going on. I mean, I heard one rumor. It's not been substantiated whatsoever on anything I've ever seen, but if it is true, then it would make some sort of sense about him having heat backstage, but more or less there was a story going around it. And again, it's just a rumor. I don't think I even buy into it, but I have no idea. But it was the idea that he was trying to trademark his name at the same time WWE was. And WWE told him to back down and he wouldn't. And so, I mean, I don't fucking know. I don't understand contracts. I don't understand any of that stuff. But it would make sense why there'd be a weird standstill. You know what I mean? And then why there'd be some form of like cooling off. So I don't know, man. It's just weird. Everything about it's weird. Karrion Kross didn't even look as awesome as I think he could have. He didn't look bad, but he didn't look fucking badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just bored with Kross, honestly.
Were you bored with him in NXT?
Yeah, just bored of him.
Oh, okay.
All around,
All right.
honestly.
I like Kross a lot. And I'm not happy with him on the Raw. Like, I didn't even mind him taking that loss to Jeff Hardy. That didn't bother me. I don't mind his entrance being different. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind Scarlett not being there. I'm not bothered by it at all. But after this match, it's kind of like, huh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very much just sort of slotting his place in the WWE style. He's a very WWE style wrestler, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think he's just sort of, grabbing his spot on the roster right now more than anything else.
Huh. Yeah, we'll see. I think he definitely has room to become more fantastical, for sure. So, let's see what becomes of him. We go Mansoor and Mustafa Ali defeated Mason T-Bar. I actually like that match. I like both those teams.
Yeah. I love the teamwork stuff Ali and Mansoor are doing. I love the sort of they're always watching each other's back sort of deal, but they themselves are not actually watching their own backs.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was very cool.
Yeah. I'm really liking both those teams right now and everything they're doing. And even the Mason T-Bar promo I liked. It wasn't like blowing you away. You weren't going to send it to all your friends and say watch, but I was like, this is solid. They're definitely getting footing here. It's weird that was like one of the highlights of Raw when I really look back on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. I love Mason T-Bar too. I think they're really great, and I think they deserve to be booked more regularly, I think, on the tag team division.
Yes. I agree with that. They should be Viking Raiders.
They should.
Make a statement. John Morrison defeated Riddle. Look, if it wasn't for all the fucking bullshit that Miz is involved in, I would have watched this match. I'm so fucking tired of Miz.
I feel that.
I just wasn't paying attention to it.
I think I'm just bored of the shtick at this point with the Miz. I didn't mind. I was of the variety that didn't mind the Miz WWE title reign earlier in the year because I recognized it for what it was. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he has a shtick that not a ton of people are into, and he's injured. So why is he still on TV?
Yeah. I think he is definitely holding back John Morrison from being a big star.
I absolutely agree, especially after this week in particular. I think the match with Riddle itself was so good. I mean, like I was just saying earlier, if Sheamus isn't producing the best match of the week on Raw, it's Riddle.
Yeah.
And him and Morrison had such a banger of a match on Raw.
Morrison is so good, and he's straddled with this fucking Miz bullshit and this stupid moist stuff that's like not even boo worthy. It's just I don't watch it. Like, honest to God, if I'm in the audience and they come out, it's like, okay, cool, I can go to concessions and stuff. Like, it's just fucking lame. It's not exciting at all. Like, it's not like I want to see him get his ass kicked. It's just flat out, I don't want to see the Miz out here ruining John Morrison's career. Like, and maybe they're having fun together, but John Morrison makes his big comeback back to WWE. They make a deal of it, and then he's immediately paired with Miz, and they just go back to where they were. What was the point of him leaving for, 8 years? To prove he was a main eventer in every company he ever went to, if he was going to come back and just be part of the stupid tag team that nearly ruined his career the first time.
Yeah, I like Morrison's part of, like, I like the shtick with Morrison. I think I like it because they are such dorks doing it. I like that it's lame because it feels like almost, their character is out of touch dad at this point, which I enjoy quite a bit. Not the Miz's part though. Like he's just in a wheelchair spraying people with water.
Yeah, I think those are so stupid. And I think Corey Graves sounds like an idiot when he's putting it over. I'm like, oh my god. Like, I literally typically, if Miz comes on TV, I'll just go to the bathroom or get something from the fridge or something. Like, I stopped paying attention. I watched a little bit of this. I really hated most of it because of Miz's involvement. And I'm sure you're right. Morrison versus Riddle was probably one of the best matches of the night, and I couldn't even pay attention to it because Miz is out there distracting from the match and just not providing anything entertaining wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We did get 24/7 championship Reginald versus R-Truth. How fucking cool was this?
I love it. It's great. I want Reggie to hold on to it forever.
Reginald is the perfect 24/7 champion. R-Truth is the perfect foil. Keeping R-Truth mic'd is amazing. They've done it a couple times before. That's not the first time I've seen them put a mic on R-Truth during a match.
Mm-hmm.
But it was done so fucking well here. Like I said before, R-Truth coming out dressed up as John Cena with the armbands and the wristbands and the jorts. So fucking funny. Especially because his 24/7 title shirt matched the armbands. Like,
Right.
perfect. Fucking perfect.
So great.
But this was just a really fucking fun match. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. Like, this was one of those, like, super sports entertaining things. When it happened, too, producer looked at me and said, that would be really fun to watch live. I was like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I would love 24/7 title stuff live. Like I would mark out any time a 24/7 title change would happen when I'm around.
I think that with a live crowd, if it's not happening, they should consider the idea of the 24/7 title chase happening throughout the venue while the show is going on. So people who are at concessions see the 24/7 title run by them. Right. There's a pin up and a roll and a quick switch and a switch back right there by the merch table or some shit. You know what I mean?
Right. And then they could they could add like 50 more reigns to Truth's resume.
Easily. You know what I mean? Have them run in and out of the bathroom. So people are in the bathroom or just peeing, and fucking here comes R-Truth who goes like, don't tell him I'm in here. And he jumps into one of the stalls or some shit. They go in there, they knock on it, he slides out and takes out, and people are in the bathroom pissing going like, what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be fucking amazing. So, I would love it. If I was sitting there getting like chips or a soda at a thing and R-Truth ran by with the title, I'd be like, this is amazing. Best part of the night. Let's see. The show did end, as we finish it up here, with Nikki Ash taking a loss to Charlotte Flair, which ended in a promo where Charlotte was rambling on about nonsense again, and Nikki said, I want a rematch because I almost won, and I'm almost a superhero, and you're all the way a bitch. I added that last part, probably. And then Charlotte said some stuff, and they said, okay, so now there's going to be a rematch. Dude, I wasn't into this match. Like, I don't like the idea of the way Charlotte's matches are put together are just like, okay, dominate this person the whole fucking match. Give them like 2 moments where they might win, but then crush it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What does that accomplish? What did the match actually accomplish besides making the champion look weak and look like she doesn't deserve to be a champion?
Yeah.
Like,
it was served to make Charlotte look better than the championship. I think they're trying to get Charlotte to a level where she, quote, doesn't need the title. But
Charlotte
it's like,
was at that point years ago. She doesn't need to be around the title anymore.
She's done nothing for the title. The title doesn't mean anything if she has it or doesn't. Like, I don't see what she's... And this whole, like, I am the opportunity. So what happens next week? Nikki gets a cheating win over Charlotte, and she has that surprised look on her face, like, what the fuck, and then beats the shit out of Nikki after the match. I'll bet you $1 right here. That's what happens next week. Nikki squeaks out a victory barely, and then Charlotte beats the shit out of Nikki to make sure that Nikki looks like shit before she leaves.
I'll put $1 on that. If that happens, I will send you $1 for saying that.
All right.
Legitimately.
Sweet. That's what it feels like it's going to.
Yeah, it's... God, I hate it. I hate when the champion... Like, I hate it when the champion who won Money in the Bank, and then won the cash-in, is now looking weak.
Yes.
It's like there's no point in it.
I will say part of Nikki's charm is she is quite the underdog you can root for. She isn't a superhero. She thinks she's a superhero. She's digging down deep for that motivation to be a superhero. So it's that head in the clouds kind of deal. But at the same time, I loved her promo before where she said this whole division doesn't need you. It needs a whole makeover, and I'm here to lead the charge and change the way that the women's division is. I was like, holy shit, I love this.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because, like, isn't a triple threat enough for Nikki to still be the underdog in the situation? You don't need to then have her lose to Charlotte.
Yeah, actually, why don't they build up the idea that what if Nikki got the clean win here? And then next week gets a clean win over Rhea. And then we start building the idea of maybe Nikki's not actually an underdog. Then you have a story of confidence behind the champion, but in the match is still coming across as the underdog. You know what I mean? Right. The bad guys team up against Nikki. But it's like, well, she did beat Charlotte and Rhea individually on the way here. Like, you could build that story of she could pull the nose up. She's not garbage. She does beat them. But at this point, she's only ever beat them in the sense of they didn't beat her fast enough. Because the only time she's ever beaten either one of them was in the Beat the Clock Challenge when it was her getting kicked the shit out of for longer than they timed it for.
Right.
Like, that's not the same as a victory.
Especially since it didn't serve to make Nikki look good. It just served to make Rhea and Charlotte look also not good. I'm not quite sure what those Beat the Clock challenges actually did.
Dude, I don't understand how they have the same creative across the board.
It's crazy.
Doesn't make any sense.
How did the same person write any of the Roman feuds in the past year and then also write like the Jackson Riker Elias feud?
Yeah. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it at all. Let's see. Over here in the chat, we got Micah saying, Reginald moves so different from most wrestlers I've ever seen. Maybe from every wrestler. I think if he actually gets a shot at a not comedy match against a Sheamus or Jeff, it would be real good. I think so too. Because he's got the Cirque du Soleil background, so he moves like an acrobat and less like a wrestler, which I think works really well for a lot of the entertaining stuff. I also know that he had signed on to NXT pretty close to his call up. I don't think he was in NXT even a full year, so I don't know if he's actually got the wrestling training to pull off a full-on match that's not this style, if that makes sense.
I think he could do it against someone an opponent who's like used to either helping people out through big matches when they're not quite there yet, like a Sheamus, or someone who wrestles a similar style who could help during the match, like an AJ.
I bet you AJ could pull it off. AJ's a master, though.
AJ could pull off a good match with anyone not named Kurt Hawkins.
Did they have a bad match?
They had one bad match. I think it was during one of the Battle of Los Angeles tournaments in like 2013.
It's amazing.
Yeah. The only bad AJ Styles match I can think of.
It's so good. And Spinnerfox says AJ Styles too, so yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean AJ's not in the conversation of Mount Rushmore's, but he should be.
Oh, absolutely. For so many years, he was considered the best wrestler in the world. I think it would be crazy not to include him, especially because for a lot of people for a long time, non-WWE wrestling was AJ Styles.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that not only was he amazing in that role itself, but he's also one of the best, quote, sports entertainers in the world, too. Like, it doesn't matter where you put him. You're going to put him in a tag team, he's going to make that tag team seem legit. They gave him a random dude, and he goes, yeah, I'm going to make this a thing. You know what I mean? Like, you give him his buddies, I'm going to make that look cool. He does. You know, you put him in a one-on-one against anyone, he goes, I'm going to make this believable. He does. Like, he just doesn't fucking miss, man.
Right. I agree, absolutely. I mean, for lack of a better term, AJ's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's one of those things where you look at all the fucking monikers and stuff you have, and you go, yeah. You know, it's never one of those like, what are you talking about? Like when they made those Charlotte Flair shirts that said Queen of WrestleMania or Mrs. WrestleMania or some shit, and I was like, what the fuck is that? No one's ever said that. And then, but with all the AJ stuff, you see it, and every single slogan on every one of them, you go, yep, that's AJ, all right. He is the best of all time.
Has Charlotte won at Mania besides the Asuka match?
Good point. She wasn't in this year, right? That was nice.
She was. Oh no, she beat Ripley in 2020.
That's right. Yeah, she won there too.
Dumb.
If it's the Micah one, I already read it.
Cool.
But yeah, dude, that was Raw. So I guess overall Raw was a lot of static, but I felt like it was a lot of them. Like it felt like they were reintroducing the audience to these people, and we've already known them for a long time. So we're all like, what is happening? 32. She, yeah. Oh yeah, she won at 32 as well. That triple threat, the infamous triple threat that treated Becky like shit for no good reason. That was the one where Mattel came out with a Barbie set for WrestleMania 32 to commemorate the women's having a championship match on the card for like the first time or some shit like that, or not the first like that, but like commemorating that match. And they made a Sasha and a Charlotte Barbie only.
Yeah.
And they unveiled it while Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky were all standing there. And Becky's like, huh. I was definitely in that match.
Yeah. And then Becky didn't go on to do anything of note at all in wrestling.
No one's ever heard of her since.
No.
I think about wraps it up, though. I don't know if there's much else that you think that we needed to cover.
Not that I can think of. I didn't watch Impact, so I can't say anything about that.
And we didn't watch MLW, and we definitely wanted to, and we planned on it. We just did not get the time. But we looked at it. We found where to stream it and all that. We saw that Hammerstone won the Battle Riot, which I thought was so fucking cool. Zicky Dice was over there. I thought was dope. I'm super excited for MLW and what they're doing, to be honest. Are you talking about Slammiversary specifically?
Like that Slammer. Is it coming up or did it happen? Oh, it happened, right?
Yeah, Slammiversary happened.
I forgot that it happened, so that's where I am at.
Yeah. And then Jay White came out, and so now there's a thing there, but we'll see how that plays out
the
too.
whole Jay White stuff. And I feel bad because Jay White's like one of my favorites in New Japan, and I just haven't really gotten to like watch Impact or felt the need to, honestly.
I think Impact is surprising to me because it has a lot of my favorite wrestlers and no story that makes me interested to see it. It's really weird. It's like quite an anomaly to me.
Even the Kenny stuff, I'm like, all right, cool, sure.
Yeah, it just seems almost irrelevant. It's just a bummer.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Splinter Fox did say or Seth with Reginald. That could be good too. To be honest, he could probably do it.
Yeah.
And then Splinter Fox does say Jay Impact was fire, the best wrestler. He burned the old Bullet Club. All right. Yeah. No, I think Jay White's great. So probably, I believe that. But I just didn't watch it. And I didn't feel the need to. I think that's all. I think that's it, dude. Did you want to plug Specifically Devoid?
Yeah, of course. I am Derek. I am one half of the main Specifically Devoid crew. It's me and Micah.
The good half.
Although I own the company, Micah's just there as one of my cast members, basically. But you can find us. We have a regular podcast, Specifically Devoid. We have a wrestling podcast, the Devoid Wrestling Podcast. We have a game show. We have a series where we dive into the world of kayfabe. And you can find us all. We're on YouTube at Specifically Devoid. You can find us on Twitter at Devoid Podcast, capital D, capital P. You can find us over on, what else do we have? We have a Twitch that hasn't been used in a while, but yeah, it might be sometime. That is specifically _Devoid. And you can find us on any place you could get a podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. The list goes on and on. You can find all of our stuff there, and we hope you check it out.
Sounds good, dude. Yeah. You did say, for the record, capital DP, which is hysterical to me because I am 4 years old. 14, probably, because I guess I was 4, I wouldn't know DP. 16, I'll say. But still, Micah does say, why don't you use Sunny D as a mix on Thursday, Marsh? Because I'm on keto, dude. There's too much sugar in there. I can't enjoy the spoils of life anymore. I just have to, live my existence of chicken and cauliflower from here on out. But, guys, thank you so much for coming through, D-Rec, and being a shining light from the devoid that is specifically a podcast. Micah was here just the other day, ruining the show. No, I'm just kidding. Check out Specifically Devoid. I'm on there a couple of times, depending on the time frame. Anytime within this year, I'll probably be showing up. Always fun. I was really glad to have you on. I know you and I had a competition on the show, so we'll have to see how that played out. And once we did that, I decided that it would be a good idea to get you on here to talk about WWE to see what you think about it. Because so far as Micah was telling me last week when he was here to review, the review had a lot to do with, I texted Derek to ask him what was happening. I was like, all right, well, let's cut out the middleman. But, guys, I am at Ref Marsh. This is at WOTR, the show. Go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com for all of our links. Give us a follow, give us a like, do the old subscribes, the reviews, the whole thing. It helps all the metrics. Also, buy a t-shirt from ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestlingOnTheRocks. Oh, God. I'm going to mess up the show again. The producer is still asleep. I've been trying to make noises and stuff. So, guys, that's it. That's last call. Come back on... What day is today, dude? What are we doing here? Tuesday. We'll see you on Thursday when we're back for another episode 1, because we definitely get this one right either. Cheers.
Pardon.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.